Yes, Admiral.
Our ships have sighted the Millennium Falcon, Lord, but it has entered an asteroid field and we cannot risk...
Asteroids do not concern me, Admiral. I want that ship, not excuses.
Yes, Lord.
Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Rest in peace, Mr. Kenneth Colley. Good old Admiral Pete. The only admiral that eventually didn't get choked out by Vader. Vader, I guess, as far as things goes, Vader made him kind of liked him. I mean, he felt the grip around the throat every now and then, but he never really choked him out. But yep, 1937 to hell, you don't even need to be from a certain generation to know. If you know Star Wars and you've seen The Empire Strikes Back, he was legendary. Like I said, he was the one that survived. He was the one that made it through. So there we go. All right, guys. Internet is messing me up here, so I need you guys in the chat to let me know. One of the reasons why I was late today is because of the pure fact that Okay, I was just in the middle of telling you guys that this is probably going to be a really short show. The reason I started late is because I got shitty internet that is coming in and out. I'm on our best Cox, our high speed, and it's still coming in and out. So that's why. So there we go. And yep, good old admin Pete fight. Let me get rid of him off there. There you go. Something's wrong. And when the internet is not working right, it affects the way StreamYard interacts with all of the stuff that you have, your bells and whistles. So I'm having a lot of issues bringing things up and bringing things down. But I am on my expensive internet. I mean, I did what I was supposed to do. I paid the bill. Hey, happy Saturday. Happy 8th anniversary. I can see I'm still choppy. Ugh. It's going to be a quick one. We'll try to get through as many topics. If this show crashes and we can't finish our stream, we will just continue it over to tomorrow night's Sunday night wrap up. But happy 8th anniversary to the greatest movie ever made, in my opinion, Blade Runner 2049. We'll talk about that. Its influence. Got a brand new Spider-Man book. Spiderman Noir is out. #1. Good old Nicolas Cage. That'll be out in the movie soon. And then one of the major things we're going to talk about is my recommendation of the week is Absolute Evil. That's your basic cover. That each of these covers has the villain that they're facing off against in the books that they're in. So here is alternate cover, Superman facing Ra's al Ghul. I forgot what's her face, chick from the Flash King, and then she's there. If you're reading all these covers, there you go. I'll go over all the details on that when we get to those, if we get to them. Brad should be on soon. I mean, if we were on time, I'd probably go into shock. Let's see where we were at here. Let's go ahead and say hi to the chat. Oh, we're also going to talk. We're going to talk a little bit of Peacemaker. Given that this next Thursday is the finale, got a lot of guesses. Everybody's trying to guess what that spider skull is that I put in the thumbnail. Could it be Brainiac? Could be. Could we see Darkseid in this? And if we do, what kind of Darkseid? Is it going to be the Darkseid that we know, or is it going to be a brand new one? A lot of things going on. So I don't know. He died back in June. I thought he died today. The thing that was on my thing I got alerted, it was died today. But either way, we didn't recognize it then, so may as well recognize it now. Doesn't matter. All right, let me make sure that I'm going through here. So I am going to go jump on to the internet here. I'm going to mute myself and see if we're up and running, because I don't. All right, looks like we're up and running. Doesn't look like the signal is going out to everybody. Let's see. All right, well, cool. We're gonna go ahead and get started. So, like I said, there's let me start with Clone Avenger. The latest issue of Absolute Batman was awesome. Are you talking about issue 12? Well, 13 comes out this Wednesday, and we will be reviewing that. What's awesome, I love the length that Bruce is taking to fight Bane. Absolute Evil is fantastic. I thought so. It makes me wonder what the story will be in Absolute Green Arrow. Well, when we discuss Absolute Evil, I'm going to try not to go into spoilers because it just came out, and I want people to be able to buy it. But Green Arrow's in it. I'll tell you that much. Newest Peacemaker is by far my favorite episode, and can't wait for the finale. That 35-minute shit needs to end. Peacemaker episode 7 was, in my opinion, the best episode of the entire series, both seasons. And I am looking forward to whatever surprises that they have in store for us on this coming Thursday. We're going to watch that one. We'll do our last watch party of it. How are you doing, Ozzy? What's going on? Let's see. I have not seen any Word Out videos popping up. Have you seen those weirdo? Oh, I thought this said Weird Al, Weird AI videos popping up like Michael Jackson as well as Chris Benoit. No, I have not. I have not seen that. How you doing, Jared? What's going on? Yeah, I need to catch up. I'm still 2 issues behind with Absolute Green Lantern, and 1 issue behind of Absolute Martian Manhunter. So for me, it's I got a lot going on too, but yeah. Yeah, if I see Chris Benoit's name on anything, I generally just keep going. I just don't like to think about that whole situation. To be honest with you, it was tragic. It was tragic. I mean, every time I think about it, um, it's heartbreaking because I was a wrestling fan. I was a fan of him. Obviously, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And when I heard that, it was Emerald Page July 3rd. Why am I just now getting it on my timeline? Well, guess what, Kenneth Colley, rest in peace anyway. Damn it. Yeah, I have to catch up on Absolute Green Lantern. I have it. I have them all here. I just have to catch up on them. Yeah. I don't even watch the documentaries of it anymore. Whenever Chris Benoit's names come up, because you can't. The undeniable truth about him is he was an excellent wrestler. He was a great wrestler, and he had some things, medical things with you that medically, people are disputing one way or another, whether that, would have led to him killing his wife, his family, and himself, or whether people. I hear some other wrestlers say he's using it as an excuse. None of the wrestlers that I've ever heard of are doctors. And I've heard doctors, who are CTE experts and brain doctors and experts like that say that there's a possibility that they could have. It's never been clearly, the medical evidence is the black spots in his brain are there. Now, does that lead to what he did? I don't know. I am not a doctor, but you can't really cover his career without covering that. It's impossible. It's impossible to cover it. So I just choose not to. All right, so I'm having all kinds of problems. So let's just go into Absolute Evil. Now, I didn't get all the variants, but I have some still left over. All right. Copy image. Hold on for a second. And then all this went back to my default screen, which kind of sucks. There we go. And we're going to save that. My car show is not out here. I'm so disappointed. I can hear the church choir singing from a lot farther than I ever should be able to hear them, but hold on. It's one of the only thing I don't like about doing the show here. One of the couple other things I don't like is the fact that, like I said, it's the internet is just not the best here, and it's as fast as it can get. So here we are. We have Absolute Evil #1. So the premise of this, it gives a lot of backstory. I'll hold up the A copy. This is the new shelf copy. This is the non-variant copy. The premise is all of these villains that you've been reading in these books. Hector Hammond from Green Lantern, Ra's al Ghul from Superman, the Joker is in here. They are all being called to a meeting by the government. The problem that has arisen is our absolute heroes, because this universe, remember, is built on dark side energy. The Joker, using his labs and science, by the way, he's a Joker that tells no jokes. he's the exact opposite of the Joker that we know. Tells no jokes, has no sense of humor, which is hilarious. His laboratories have discovered the God particle, which is a mega particle, the mega energy that has created that universe. He has detected that this energy has a sentience and has a purpose and has a will, and that beings like Absolute Wonder Woman, who are heroic, Absolute Batman, Green Lantern, all these heroes that have risen up recently are against the grain. Because now remember, this universe is flipped on its ear. So what we think is good and evil has been turned around. It also gives you now this energy that he discovers and presents to them. He believes, and he convinces them to believe, that this gives them the justification to unite and go after these heroes, because they don't see them as heroes. They see them as disruptions to the order of Darkseid, even though they don't know who and what Darkseid is. They know that the energy, the godlike energy that is their universe, has a sentience, and that the universe, the way it is, was shaped in his will in some way. So these heroes are going against that will, and they see themselves as the group of people that have to stop and unite and stop them, because each of them has one of these heroes in their area that they're going up against. So what they done? So they go back in history. It starts in the 1950s. Oh, hold on. This is a customer. Thank you for calling the Sci-Fi Center. Okay, I'm here till midnight. All right. We can. Yeah, I'm on the air right now, so yeah, sure. All right. No problem. All right. So the Justice Society is here. Now, this is the part where this book gets really, really good. All the heroes that tried to emerge and do good were snuffed out by government agencies. Like Hawkman is a protagonist here. He's a real piece of shit here. He, instead of being the Hawkman from the Justice Society, instead of being the heroic person that we know, he ends up being one of the ones that turns on people who would eventually become the Justice Society. So hence, there's never a Justice Society in this world. They show you the order. They show you the origin of the Sandman, not Morpheus, but the original Sandman from the Justice Society, and how just as he was becoming a hero and using the nerve gas that he would use to subdue criminals, he's killed by the government, and his nerve gas experiments are taken and used for war. That's what happens to a lot of these people who will become the Justice Society. The society itself, since it's built on dark side energy, and all the practitioners in this universe are basically on his level as far as mentality goes, they snuff out heroism. They think of it as a disorder. So that's how this starts up. If you guys can see it there. That's let me get back here and see if I can blow myself up. So the entire thing starts out in 1951. There's Hawkman, and he will appear later on in the issue too. I don't want to give you too many spoilers because there are plenty of people who are reviewing it and will give you full-on spoilers. But I do want to show you some things. Like there are most of it is dialogue. Most of it is these guys talking to each other about this, what they feel is a threat. And not only is evil in this world, but corruption. Now, if you remember Absolute Batman and in Absolute Batman #1, remember Black Mass tried to corrupt him. He did the same thing that they're doing here. He offered him a whole lot of money to go away. Batman didn't take it. And that's the heroes not taking the bribes and being intimidated, like the Absolute Wonder Woman's, Green Lantern, Flash, and things like that. That's the disruption that they're seeing. That's the problem. That's what makes them stand out. Then you have the origin of the Sandman, who's getting killed. And this is the way that this world has been. Now, I don't want to go in this next page because that's a major spoiler for some of you. So I don't want to do that. But all I wanted to do is give you the premise. It is extremely important and useful if you're reading, if you are currently reading not only the Absolute universe, because some of you have come on, you just exclusively reading Absolute Batman, Wonder Woman, and so on. That's fine. However, there is another side of this equation, and that's the all-in, that's the DC universe. As you see with DCKO, it's all starting to come to a head. They're not going to get rid of this universe, but there are things that are happening because Darkseid is getting closer to resuming his power. So the DCKO thing is going to tie directly into all of this. Now, one of the plot twists, let me see if I can find it. Be right back. One of the plot twists is just how these villains perceive themselves. They don't perceive it's not evil. They're not like the mainline universe where they're sitting around in the clubhouse and they're doing their evil laugh. They legitimately see Batman as a disruption. They see Wonder Woman, how she came in and defeated that kaiju in her first issue, and the army followed her. They see that as a disruption, and their form of justice is different than what we know it is. So I'm going to show you this because I thought this was one of the things. This is sort of a spoiler, but not really, I guess. What these guys end up doing is that they agree that none of them, they're not friends, but they can be allies, because being friends is basically the exact type of corruption that they pretty much are accusing the other heroes of doing. But what they do is they form a Justice League. So in a sense, they could have called this the Absolute Justice League. And it's ironic because it's not going to, when we say Justice League, we think of Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Aquaman, blah, all that, right? But the word justice in Darkseid's world has been turned on its ear. So now you have these people thinking they're doing justice, and which is kind of cool. By the way, Superhero Hype, I'm using your site. I will link you guys into the thing. There's Lex Luthor in this world. All right, I won't tell you what the context is that he's in, but Lex Luthor is definitely in this world. I've been getting a lot of questions of that, and they are actually there's all of them sitting around the table. Ra's al Ghul, the rest is there. Hector Hammond. Hector Hammond, obviously, if you've been of Green Lantern fame, you know who he is. And then I want to show you what was kind of like not the biggest surprise, but it was more like a I had this bought up, by the way, but like I said, the internet just was doing its own thing. Save image, and we're gonna go into here, and then I'll share the screen. StreamYard, you need to make this shit easier. Please make this stuff easier. Should not have to do what I'm doing right now to figure all this out. But there's one picture that I thought was kind of cool that pretty much exemplifies. Thank you. What's your poster? Just you? +2? Okay. You +1?
Yeah.
Okay.
There are more?
I'll let you know.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Starbucks. Yeah, I know. It's damn near 10 o'clock at night, but I'm a night owl. So let me find this for you guys. So if you're going to be the Justice League, you're going to need a headquarters. And there you go. The Absolute Hall of Justice. It looks a little bit different. It's black, star on it. No different words, but that is where they're going to be operating from. Now, the thing I like about this the most, where am I at here? Hold on. The thing I like about this issue the most is the history lesson it gives you. It's not an action-packed There's some violence in there, and I don't want to spoil the violence that's in there. There's something that happens to a particular character that I don't want to mess it up for you. You guys need to see that because that's going to come back in context. It's the history lesson it gives you. We already knew that the absolute universe was corrupt. It was because it was built from the energy of Darkseid. There was never a history going back any further than the characters that we were talking about. Every one of these characters that we've had come in, whether it be Martian Manhunter, Green Lantern, Batman, Superman, Flash, the origins is what you're seeing there. It's that character. The story begins with absolute Superman. Batman's story begins with absolute Batman, Flash, Manhunter, and so on. Here, they're giving you pre-World War II history. So we're not just talking about an alternate future anymore. We're talking about an alternate everything. We're talking about something that has its roots based decades before our story even starts. That tells you alone that this absolute universe is going to be around for a very long time. I love it. I'm happy for it. I love what it's done for DC. So there's your A cover. There's the standard cover. It has all their hands. The whole all for one thing. This is the cover with the Flash on it. It's my actually no, this is not my favorite one. This is the Wonder Woman cover. This is my favorite one out of all of them. Ra's al Ghul choking Superman. This has probably been the most drastic change of the stories. Batman is different because of Rogues Gallery of where they come from and why they are there. But when it comes to Batman, the enemies and the villains end up being who they are. They're just the story is much darker and much more heartbreaking because they were all friends that become that. Especially if you read that last issue of Absolute Batman, where Bane basically turns all of Batman's friends into just fucking monstrosities that are consistent with what they will become. Superman has been the biggest drastic change for me because of Ra's al Ghul, because of the Peacemakers, because of Brainiac, because of the way the way these standard heroes that have been around for, in some cases, 50, 60 years have been rewritten and realigned with different heroes. So that's what's going on in that universe. But we're starting to build a foundation under what we've been watching. And it's been a year, guys. Absolute DC premiered 1 year ago with Absolute Batman, which, by the way, you can now get all three, and I'm sold out of the other two, but you can get all three of the arcs, the original arcs, in hardcover or trade paperback. I can't wait to hand these to people when they come in looking for a place to start. I usually don't. I mean, I do all right with hardcovers, but like I said, financially, trade paperback is where it's at for a lot of people, right? So I had all three. I had Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman, and I got them coming back in. But yeah, it's been a year. It's been a year since it's debuted. And when Brad gets here, I'm gonna go over, and I want to stand in the Absolute section that I'm building. So in fact, I could kind of do that now. Fuck it. See if I can do this without messing this up. All right. That echo is going to go away. Hold on. Let's see if I can get further away. And that's a lot easier. All right. So I'm going to flip this around. So behind me, this is the Absolute section. All right. It's pretty big. It's the largest single topic section I have in the whole store. And it goes all the way to the ceiling. Now, I've sold quite a bit of this stuff today. So you can kind of see there's some blank spots, because when I get somebody that comes in and says, well, where do I start? I've been out of comics for a while, but, I want to jump in, but, I watch some of these TV shows, I love the Penguin, I love all this stuff, but I don't know where to jump in, because outside of James Gunn, you haven't had somebody telling you where to jump in. So, easiest thing to get them into right now for me, even more so than the Ultimate Universe, which is over there, is the Absolute Universe. So let me turn this camera around. Let's see, will it change it? All right, front facing back. All right. So like I said, I've been messing around. I got to redo this, because what I did not size these up deep enough. And what I've been doing is I've been buying and rebuying the variants and stuff. So I'm never out. So I'm still buying issues of number 1, number 2. Even though we're a year into it, I still want to have those. So when somebody comes in, I can, I don't want to just give you issues 1, 3, and 6 or something. I want to give you the whole thing, especially if I don't have the trade paperback. So what you see up here, and they're constantly reprinting. Like this one right here is a combined cover. This is like a 5th or 6th printing. And the coolest thing about Absolute Universe is that in the old days, when you reprinted something, it was, it was less value, it was garbage. But the ratios and the way they reprint these things, are with brand new covers. You're getting brand new covers for the variants. You're getting variant covers, sometimes virgin covers, reprints. So it's kind of cool. So the value doesn't go down. So, it makes it cooler. So yeah, I had a lot of Green Lanterns all day. Here's the other pillar. Got to paint this. I think red or black. I think red. I think I'm going to go with red. But here's like the Noir covers, the black covers, that came out, the absolute, antithesis of a sketch cover, but I guess you could sketch on this. This is technically a black sketch cover. Here's like a foil cover, a lot of foil covers with this one. This is Green Lantern number 1. Now, this was one of my favorite reprints that they did, because this was actually a scene or a panel in Absolute Batman, I think number 2, where he burns his visage into a building of people he's trying to terrify. So I'm glad they ended up making a cover out of this. This is like a 4th printing. But like I said, its values these came out when the first, after the first 3 months, these are the foil covers. Now this is what's called a Noir cover. So inside of here, this silver cover, it's black and white. It's all black and white. So that was one of the first things that they did when they came out. And that's exactly what this is. This is there's a white cover of this one, but when you open it up, there's nothing on the cover. It's black and white. And the original cover has the number 1 of him just standing there, and it's in black and white. Now this is Absolute Batman number 1. This is a sketch cover. So that's been popular lately, last couple of years. A lot of people buy 3 and 4 of these. So, you have your favorite artists. I got some artists here who like to buy them and do them like that and put their own Batman stuff on them. I'm going to start having contests about that. Here's the variant cover for number 9. This is when they first started to do the Bane storyline. And Absolute Martian Manhunter number 1, and that is a foil cover there. And this is the original cover for not the original cover, but the original variant. This is not a reprint. This is the original variant that came through when this is the Jim Lee variant of Absolute Wonder Woman. This is one of the better ones that came out. Then they start experimenting with the covers. Now, here's a pink background for Batman, and him brutally beating the hell out of people. A lot of the covers, like I've explained before, when it came to the Absolute Universe, the A cover gives you the basic premise of what's going on in the story. It's what I call a representative cover. But then some of them are just symbolic. Like this is one of my favorite ones. You guys have actually, if you're watching the show, you've actually seen me use this as a thumbnail. I love that oversized sword she has. Everything about Absolute Wonder Woman is bleeding through in this cover. Her tattoos, the giant sword, just the whole goddess level. They treat her like a goddess in this interpretation of her more so than I think they do in her actual book. Let's see. This is one of the this is actually original number 2. This is a number 2. This is when he first fights Alfred. But yeah, the covers that they did. And this is one of the newer ones. This is an issue 11. And issue 12 is out. I have that too. But this was one of the covers. This is the cover they showed us. If you remember our Comic-Con coverage, this is the cover that they showed us where Batman is at Arkham and he's hanging, and it just was showing you how they were rebuilding the myth of Bane into actually something. And then this is a issue of that same issue 11, right? So here they do this a lot. So here's the Bane's version of it, but when it's told from Bruce's point of view, Bruce is the one sitting in the catbird seat. I think the Wonder Woman covers are my favorite variants out of all of these. The weirdest ones are obviously going to be Martian Manhunters, because that is the weirdest book. This is Martian Manhunter's variant, the sketch variant. They all have sketch variants, but with each one of these, they give you a different style. Like here's a variant for Absolute number 8. Not a representative cover at all. Just let you know that this is Absolute number 8. Big bold letters. You need to buy this. This is the A cover. This is the only A cover that Wonder Woman put out that I like better than any of the other covers that they put out. Because this is a story about her getting her lasso and using Prometheus' blood to power that lasso. This is more of an anime cover. Let's see. And then if you notice the earlier issues of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, they use a basic color palette, red and orange, no matter what. And then their variants would go crazy. This reminds me of Human Target, if you guys have ever read the DC Black Label. That's kind of cool. And then once again, this is the perfect cover. I don't even need to tell you who's in this issue and what this issue is about. So yeah, that's the Absolute section. Right now I'm starting to build up, because like I said, this is one of the few lines of books that I'm going to constantly not be afraid to buy back issues because of the way we'll be able to sell them. This is a Killer Croc, one of my favorite covers of the whole thing, the entire run. This is number 12. This is the 1-year anniversary. And the story in here is heartbreaking too, because of how he becomes Killer Croc. It just sucks. And it makes you hate Bane in a way that you should hate Bane, not the original farce, but the way they do them now. But yeah, this is my Absolute section. And like I said, I'm not done with it yet. I'll probably never be done because that's the way I am. But I got another wall, because this is where, now that we're starting to get into the trade paperbacks and the collections, we're going to start getting more. Pretty soon we'll have another volume of, we already have issues 1 through 6 lined up in in the trade paperbacks and hardcovers. So now we're going to start getting Flash, Lantern. That'll be the second one. And then we'll start getting the second volumes, issue 6 through 12, and they'll all be down here. And I want to have all those there for people. So, and that's the Absolute section of the show. Say hi to Galactus. No, you can't have him, and no, he's not for sale. But it's still cool to have him in here, though. Okie dokie. All right, I am going to, in this portion, I'm going to get back on the desk. All right. Oh, I came back with a co-host. How about that? All right. So happy birthday, Absolute Universe. Absolute Evil is great. Read it. I didn't want to. If you want to go to some of those videos, I mean, there are some really good videos out there. I always go to, one of Brad's cohorts. Matt from Fortress of Solitude really does a great job breaking these things down and giving you the bullet points. That's if you want to go ahead and do it that way. I would just say if you can get to a comic book store, even if you got to do it digital, read it in sequence, experience it for yourself. It's worth it. I was telling you guys this whole year the Absolute Universe was going to be worth it. Even before, not this Comic Con, but the prior Comic Con, to where we were given the this, which didn't last long because fucking TSA in the airport tore it up. This is the ash can that we were all handed out in 2024. This is a copy of Absolute Batman #1 that we were all given, and it doesn't have anything in it, but it just gave you the sketches and what to expect, the costume. This was the first time we got a glimpse of just how big he was, because he's not a 6 foot. Batman in our universe is like 6, maybe max 6'3". This one is 6'6", possibly 6'7", if not more, depending on who's drawing him. And I was like, well, wait a minute. It's his DNA, it's Bruce Wayne, no matter what. How is he? Wouldn't he grow the same? And no matter what universe? No, because there are certain things that are in this universe, certain ways that his body developed, because he, the type of things he did to become Batman were different than the ones that the bulking up, the things that you do, like, the things that you have access to, the foods that you eat, things like that were from childhood. Having him had a lot of different things will change all that. And like I said, clearly they know that. They recognize the fact that Absolute Batman is a behemoth in comparison to anything else. The only thing that's bigger than him is Bane, who they make 10 feet tall when they want to. But I'm all right with that. So some of the other stuff from Absolute Universe, I think I moved a lot of my Absolute stuff over to that section. But yeah, try to. I have an Absolute Flash #1. This was the variant, the very first variant of Absolute Flash #1. And that's the first printing of that. And yeah, I think I moved everything Absolute over to this section as I got more wall space to do so. But there you go. I should have had a birthday cake with like all the emblems on it. You know what? I should have had a birthday cake with like a big axe coming out of it, but that's kind of expensive. So can you hear me, Brad?
Yeah, I can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. I was making sure. I had some issues. The internet is not what it needs to be, and it's causing a chain reaction with StreamYard, which is always fun. All right, how you doing, Chuck K? So yeah, I was away from the. So I'm saying thank you, Clone Avenger. Is there a character you would like to see have an Absolute series, or a character you would like to pop up in the universe? DC got to get an Absolute animated movie in the works. It's probably already in the works. Either a video game, a cartoon, or a movie. There's no way that these numbers can't lead to that. If you're not DC, if that's not on the table, quit. If your people aren't sitting around that same table I showed you those villains sitting around and figuring out how you can squeeze the revenue out of this, just go work with the new Toys R Us that's coming about. That's what you guys need to be. But if they are smart, and so far this particular regime seems very smart, then I wouldn't be surprised at next Comic-Con, if not sooner, that we're getting an Absolute HBO Max cartoon. This has got to be. All right, in regards to your question, and I'll throw this to Brad. Wow, because they pretty much got all my favorite characters already, so I got to think about that one. They got Absolute Batman. I don't care about Robin, even I know, they got Absolute Catwoman. Ooh, that cover looks beautiful. Can't wait to get that this Wednesday.
We're getting Absolute Green Arrow, so that
your sound is coming from your computer. It's coming from the computer, Mike.
Is that better?
Yeah, there you go. Absolute Green Arrow. We'll We'll skip that for right now. Have you read Absolute Evil?
I literally just got the issue today. I haven't had a chance to read it, so okay. I know Lex Luthor's in there.
Yeah, Lex Luthor's in there. I let everybody know that Green Arrow and everything was in there. Absolute Green Arrow is in the book, and Absolute Lex Luthor is in the books. But I'm going to let you guys read that to get that to content because it is a story. It is a very big part of the story that I can't articulate for you. So if you all of you who are wanting Absolute Green Arrow, you get him, and I'm gonna leave it there. Kind of fucked up. So we got him. Wow. I got Absolute Wonder Woman, and to be honest with you, she's the best version of Wonder Woman. I'm sure Jared, who was in the chat, Tom King's disciple, will agree with me there. We got the Green Lantern.
For me, it's like Aquaman. I mean, come on.
Well, he's coming. Yeah, he's. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and. Well, my answer will be because there's no way we're not getting Aquaman. It's just gonna be weird. What he's gonna look like, you know what I mean? Who are we missing though? That let's think outside of the JL box that we know we're getting. I know we're getting after Joker, who's not funny.
Maybe Hawkman. That would absolutely.
No, you got him.
Is he an evil? Is he an absolute evil?
And he's a. Oh, never mind.
Oh, so they got to hear it because again, I haven't the chance to read it yet. So
yeah, that's what I'm trying to stop you because
they've got heroes and absolute evil too.
You can call him
that. Okay.
Wow, that's a good dude. I don't usually get stumped cloning him. I either don't want to answer the question or I don't have an answer. But wow, we've got Absolute Superman, we've got Absolute Wonder Woman, we've got Absolute Flash. We've seen Absolute Supergirl, not as Supergirl yet. So we got her. But I don't think she'll be too. You know what? Absolute Swamp Thing.
Yeah, he would be good, yeah.
Absolute Swamp Thing. There you go. I'm gonna stand on that. How about you?
I was actually thinking Dr. Fate too. He's the absolute evil by any chance?
No.
Okay, so I was also thinking maybe Absolute Constantine.
In this universe, though, he would kind of be out of place, I think.
Think so?
Because of the nature of the universe and the nature of his powers. It'd be kind of I don't think he would be a bad guy, actually.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
But
yeah, like Dr. Fate, was one I was thinking of too when I mentioned Hawkman. Maybe Black Adam.
Oh. Shazam.
Oh yeah, sure, Shazam.
Absolute Shazam. Yeah, get quick. Thank you for the $10 support, Clone Avenger, and that's an absolute. That's a great question. It's probably the best question of the night. Here you go. It's a stupid name. I'm never gonna go by that. I hate that name. I got the main cover of the Wonder Woman. Yeah, I got. I love the art in Wonder Woman is page to page is beautiful. I love that title. No comment. I got to figure out since we're doing live shows. If I were doing a video, then it would be different because most people when they watch the review videos, they're expecting to get spoiled or they can save those. But I'm putting this in a show where we're covering different topics, and I want you to go. The whole purpose is I want you to go out and get these things and put them in your hands. You are lucky. We got literally a month away, and boy, William is happy. I got my door open. My allergies are ripping my lungs and my nasal tissue from my skull, but I don't care because it's all bottom. It's great. My lungs have shrunk today. I've been hacking. I got cough drops everywhere, but I don't care. Sometimes you can feel like shit and still feel great. You know that? Dodgers won today. That was a good day. Had a good day sales wise. That was knock on wood because it's still going on. Had customers bringing me coffee. Got turned on a lot of people to Absolute today. I had a whole group of tourists in here just looking to get started. Got them started. Guess where I got them started? So yeah, it's been a good day. So yeah, but the allergies, my God. I mean, it's like we're gonna give you this really good day, William. We're gonna fuck up your nasal cavities. We're gonna fuck up your lungs and your throat and your tonsils. We're gonna fuck all of that up. And I'm like, bring it. Let's see. We're talking about Chris Benoit early medically. He had CTE, and for those specifically, especially wrestlers that say it killed him or it doesn't exist. Yeah, and like I said, there are some particular wrestlers who I respect as far as their ability and their knowledge of wrestling goes. But when you start going over into what CTE will cause you to do or not do, I would rather stay away from that unless I had a CTE expert on there. And then I would be yielding to that person. But I'm not one. That person, some of these people who are saying these things aren't some. Some of the people who are doctors that have said some of it have had people at the same level and credibility say otherwise. So you ever heard of a second opinion? So in order to talk Chris Benoit, I have to talk some unfortunate stuff that just really puts a pit in my stomach. All right, let's see. Finally exploring. No, we've explored the story before. We've explored, the finished, unfinished parts, the leaking. In fact, it was leaking the last time we did it. Fucking Niagara Falls in my roof before they fixed it. If you guys, do you guys even care about what's in the store? If you do, we can do them on a weekly basis. Doesn't bother. I literally take a lot of people who are here in person through the store, and I explain the store to them in the same places, and that's a whole. I try to be who I am in this store on the air. So if you guys want to see more sections of the store, I have no problem with it. I'd like to have a better camera and a better way to do it. I did it on my phone. It works. But, if we want to do that on a more often basis, then I need to get the right equipment so that we don't be having the feedback and the lighting is right. And like I said, the store is lit right now for merchandise. If you're here in person, like when we were over in that section, it probably seemed to you when I was looking on the camera that it was a little bit darker. But when you're in the store, it's a little lighter because the lighting is for each section. But if I was going to give you guys a tour using the phone and the camera, I would set up different lighting so you can actually see stuff and you can point stuff out. I don't mind doing that at all. All right. I've done that before. I've gone to each section. I've gone to the As Seen on TV section. I've gone to the Star Wars section. I've gone to the Trek section. You always see here's where my main checkout counter is. There's the front door. There's the main window. This is what behind me is the main variant wall. Call it the money wall, but I call them all money walls. But this is the main variant wall, and the reason why is because of the way the store is set up. There's a reason why there's yellow backing. I always use either a dark dominant backing if I'm planning on putting bright color covers on there, or I use a light neutral one, which is a yellow, which makes even the darkest covers pop. So if you see, there's a consistency behind me. Now, when I took you on a tour into the store, the main wall is red because red is stop. Red is alert. You don't even know how to read. You don't even know how to write. You could be crawling around on all fours. You know what red means. And the red is attracts them to there. And then the absolute wall is probably going to end up being red when I paint that too. That's basically to be consistent with the absolute universe, because if you get that deep into the store, I've probably taken you there to that spectacle. So whereas everything in the store is not everybody wants to ask a bunch of questions of me or whoever's behind the counter. They are not, I'm not going to say standoffish. They just want to feel their way into the store. So the store is set up to where it's like a book, so that one thing leads you to the other. So that's what's behind me now. There is the artifact wall, which is with all of our props and stuff, things like this. Yeah. We'll 3D print props. We'll have, stuff like this hanging around. You guys have seen me play with this before. Storage hammer, and it's quite heavy. It's a prop, but I could beat you with this. This is hard. This will fuck you up if I were to hit you with it. And then I got things like Captain America's helmet. I got Green Lantern rings on the way. When we do our Green Lantern, the Green Lantern watch parties will be done with when that show airs. The difference between the Green Lantern watch party and all the other watch parties we do, the Green Lantern watch party will be done with a studio audience. I will have people in here watching with us as we are live on the air. And for episode 1, everybody that shows up is going to get a Green Lantern ring that glows in the dark. So when we turn out the lights, they'll all have the Green Lantern ring by the same guy who makes this stuff for me. So yeah, got the artifact wall. You're still buzzing. I got the artifact wall, and then I got like props and stuff. Like a lot of the Rocky Horror props are behind our screening room. We have a screening room area over here, and all of our props, our wheelchairs, our costumes, all behind that wall. There's nothing much to see there because that's the portally lit area because it's where we show our stuff, our screens. When we're doing things that are like less than 80 people, we'll do it in here. When it's bigger stuff, you guys have seen the parking lot. Like right now, you know, if I felt like doing it, if I had occasion, we could do a drive-in because the weather is perfect right now to do a drive-in. But it will be. We did our very first drive-in on December 21st, 2020, when nobody could go to the theater still. So we were doing a lot of drive-ins, and it didn't matter what the weather was because you didn't have anywhere else to go. But we also have the Nunnery, which is downstairs, where we do our Rocky Horror Picture Show, where we did the when like a silent movie has reached its 100th year. So, for instance, Nosferatu, we had a piano player and we had Nosferatu on the screen, and we played Nosferatu with a piano. Do kind of stuff like that. That you know, I can give you guys tours of that when I'm down there. But yeah, the store is pretty much set up. It's like an attic. Think of an attic. Think of an attic with somewhat cool shit in it. Think of an old library, not a new library. Think of Doctor Strange's attic, not his main area, but the attic. Think of that, and that's pretty much what my place has the feel of. So, but no, I don't mind giving you guys tours of that if you want to see it. Let's see. Do you like? Yes, I do. Yes, I do, because everything that is right about this Bane was what was stupid about his original interpretation. It's credible. That's the word I want to give you. The difference between absolute Bane and highlight reel, new headline,
iconic bat breaking villain,
highlight grabbing, just mess.
One of the greatest villains of all time.
Comics, as a retailer in the 90s, I can tell you, is there's credibility to why you hate Bane. I didn't give a shit about Bane when he first came out. I didn't give two flying fucks about Bane. I didn't have the reason to hit. Oh, he broke Batman's back. What fucking deal? He let out all the people from Arkham. So fucking what? None of that stuff was overwhelming. You read Absolute Batman, and you see and hear how this Bane articulates and talks, and what he does. Now, what they did is before you even saw Absolute Bane, you got a connection to the people around Bruce, the people who are normally villains, and that you know who are going to be destined to become villains, but you don't know how. But these people aren't just your generic people. These are people that are credibly friends to him, that are helping him, that he cares about. Killer Croc is primary amongst us. What he does, that storyline in Batman, after Batman number 12, it's heartbreaking what happens to him and what he does to him. And he does it to all of his friends. And the way it's written, the way it's done is far superior. It's the difference between reading a high-end novel and a coloring book. That's the difference between how Bane is brought into the Absolute Universe and how he's brought in to the mainline universe. And you have to challenge yourself. And this is what I like about Scott Snyder. Is he's doing something that, in my opinion, as a collector and a retailer in the 90s, that they did not ask of us in that era. He's asking us to think. He's asking us to think outside the box and from different angles. Now, we had the ability to do that in the 80s and 90s, and some people did. But they weren't doing it in DC in the early to mid-90s. They weren't doing it. Once we killed Robin off, and this is what started it actually. Once. Wait. So killed Robin off. So William voted for. So everything he's about to say that's bad, he's admitted culpability to. Not really. Hold on. But as a 14-year-old kid, we didn't give a fuck if the news was watching. We didn't care if Channel 3 or whatever knew. We didn't care. We were reading it, and we were, but one of the byproducts of that, whether you like the storyline or not, is that they understood in 1988 that they could get Johnny Average, who was never going to pick up a comic book, but had a basic understanding of what Batman was. They could get that person into the stores, because we had comic book stores at that point, and up their sales. Once they understood that they could do that, that was when it started to erode everything in the 90s for me, because they weren't concerned about telling long-term stories or attaching the legacy in the past that had strengthened why we even cared about these characters in the first place. They weren't doing that. They just went video game. They just went speculator. And that got you stuffed. And like I said, that's not challenging you. I'm 14 at the time, and I felt insulted by some of these stories because they weren't for us. So, yes, this invention of him challenges you, not only to just, like I said, it's the video game mentality. Oh, let's get the biggest, baddest guy and see if he can step on our hair.
Yeah,
Hold on. When I was in first fucking grade, that was cool. But by the time 1993 comes around, I'm damn near a grown man. I'm 19 years old. You're treating me like a fucking toddler. So I have nothing but, like I said, disdain for that. And I think that's what DC has done a lot of in the last 35 to 40 years, is they don't realize that their core customer is number one. Two, their core customer is a lot smarter than the stupid shit that they give us credit for. They continue to some kind of, they're getting better, but they think, like I said, this is Scratch and Smith, that we're not going to be able to find our way through a fucking comic book. That we need you to give us big, loud, colorful, stupid-ass, explosive stories in order to keep our attention, which that's not the case. Scott Snyder's showing you that's not the case. Frank Miller showed you that wasn't the case. Chris Claremont spent 2 decades showing you that long-term storytelling and not, headline chasing is what builds the foundation of your story. That's what Scott Steiner, not Big Bad Booty Daddy. Scott Snyder is doing. He's putting things in place, making you care about those things, and then he brings in Bane to wreck shop on those things. Not because of a headline, but because he fits in the story. Bane's not here to grab a headline. Bane's here to tell a story, to develop a newer Batman into something. But not just that, but to have a defining effect on his rogues gallery and everyone around him. And it's written better. So, yeah, to answer your question, Hank DD, yeah. I think this is a superior.
Again, to bring it back, William pinpointed the death of Jason Todd, which he voted for. He called and voted for. So every criticism William just made, he just admitted it's his fault.
Okay. Understand. You can disagree. I don't. Yeah. This, like I said, agreement is not a prerequisite for this show or you guys being part of it. I'm telling you, you are asking me for my answer, and my answer is coming to you from a lifelong comic collector. I've been collecting longer than Brad's been on the fucking planet. All right, I think I've been a retailer. Brad was probably 5 or 6. Now that's not saying his opinion doesn't matter. That's not what I'm trying to say.
Well, let's say my opinion was, or it's my fault. Anyway.
Hold on. I'm not saying, for those of you who feel differently about that, some of you who are in my age group, I am not saying that your opinion is invalid, but you're asking me why I don't like it, and I'm telling you, I can only be 100% honest with you about how I feel about these storylines and the ramifications, and it's coming from the view of a 45-plus year collector and nearly, 30-some-odd year dealer. Other dealers are going to have different takes on it, and they will give you their answer. I'm giving you mine. All right, so where were we at?
Let's blame me. So,
well, that's default.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, by the way, actually, it's feeling a lot better today. It was really, really stiff. For those of you who don't know, I had a knee injury in my jiu-jitsu class on Thursday night. I think it's probably fair to diagnose it was just a sprain. It hurt like hell when it happened. And then went home.
I can knock him into place. Come here.
Okay. So yeah, it really, really hurt when it happened. And then I, went home, went to bed that night, just kind of sleep it off. And then, got up. It was pretty sore on like, on the inner thigh kind of side of my knee.
What was your range of motion?
I could move it pretty freely, like right after it happened. And then it got, it was pretty stiff after that. And I
was there swelling? Was there size growth?
No, there wasn't swelling.
So you got lucky.
Yeah, I definitely got lucky, especially with how it felt and the knuckle cracking sound I heard when it happened. Then,
get that shit pressed, put that shit somewhere, frame that, slab it. Those are going. There are a lot of people out there that are jacking up the prices of these. I've seen them up there for 50, 60, 70 bucks, if not more. Mine got destroyed because TSA opened my bag.
Yeah, it looks like it got rained on or something.
Well, no, it got taken out and they did a random bag search. And then they shammed it back in there. I'm like,
so they kind of.
I filed a complaint. I filed a complaint. I was fine with the Greyhound in the Sky, which is Spirit. I filed a written complaint. I got compensated for that.
Well, I mean, kind of like that's kind of what happened. It was a sweep we were doing, and I just kind of got my leg kind of pressed on the mat. I think what happened was that my foot was pressed instead of like sweeping out underneath of me, like when he did the sweep on me, my foot pressed into the mat and just kind of got stuck there. And so you got like the pressure of like the mat pressing up on the body pressing down, and just all concentrates on my knee when that happened. So yeah, that's what I think happened with that. But it's Friday. It was pretty. I could bend my knee, but I had to do it slowly. So I wasn't sparring or
anything. All right, good.
And then I got they gave me a brace for that at school, so I've been wearing that around today. It was pretty sore today. I was still kind of kind of taking it easy around there today. By about probably like about 6 hours ago, it's like it's still if I a little bit sore, but I pretty much got full range of motion back. So, and that's about 48 hours after that. So that's pretty good. I'm still going to probably take it easy on that for the next week or so. But I definitely got lucky because that could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, that could have been a terror.
Yeah.
Real quick, let me know, guys, in the chat, because I'm on this shit internet. Let me know if we're coming through like Pac-Man, because if it's have to switch.
Like right when I did that right there, lifting myself up, it's like it's a little bit sore when I do that, like very minutely sore when I do that.
Okay, listen. I don't fucking care about your pain threshold as long as you didn't tear anything and you're okay. I already know you're a weenie. So yeah, take some motion.
Yeah, so I poke fun of William about Bane. He pokes fun of my knee. That's
like as long as I know it's not a tear, you're all right.
Yeah,
that would have been.
I was pretty scared in the moment though, because I mean, really,
especially when you heard it pop. When you hear something, whenever you hear an athlete or somebody who does anything with their body heard something pop. That's generally you dodge. That sound was you dodging a bullet is what that was. Absolute Batman coming soon after that. I don't think so. But once again, you have the crazy man at the helm. If James Gunn is your shot at Batman Beyond, live action.
I was actually going to ask. It's like, no, this would be. Could you see them doing like something like Batman Beyond in the Absolute Universe, like a 30 years later in the Absolute Universe timeline?
Because I don't think Scott Snyder considers him canon. I could be wrong. I've never got the impression he does. I think you would probably see him. You're probably sooner going to see him in James Gunn's universe before you might see him on fucking Thursday.
Well, that's one of the topics. That's one of the topics tonight. Actually, is
that would be absolutely hilarious.
You just swing open the door, you see Terry McGinnis.
I would be happy for all these guys who think I hate apps. I do hate apps. Batman Beyond. I don't hate him. I just think business wise, it doesn't warrant anything beyond what we've already gotten. But with James Gunn, it wouldn't have to. See, once he gets things going and the stuff suits are like, you know what, I'm going to leave you. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. We hired you to do this. You tell us what you need. Tell us what the budget needs to be, and we'll say yes or no. But as far as like the creative things going like that, I don't think Sam Rod's going to get in his way. If James Gunn says, I want to do Absolute or I want to do Batman Beyond, then it would happen. Now, but if you had any other studio head in there, like the previous knuckleheads or some of the ones that are around there,
well, they would greenlight that in lieu of like mainline Batman. They
would do it and they would screw it up.
If they could, you're probably not. I mean, it was bad enough what happened with Ben Affleck, and the Justice League characters and all. But if you hadn't gotten Matt Reeves Batman at the time, greenlit at the time you did, you might conceivably could have gotten Terry McGinnis. They could have. I could have seen that administration saying, "Hey, let's put Terry in instead of Bruce."
And it would have bombed. And then the Batman Beyond people, well, that's not fair because it wasn't this and it wasn't that. And I'm like, no, it's a fucking character that is not Bruce Wayne. It's just not going to happen. The Batman and if there are characters that if you do the work, you can pull that off. If you do the work, you can pull off somebody who's not the legacy character. But if you just try to like throw that at the general public, they're gonna be like, that's gonna bomb. Hamada would have done some dumb shit like that, and it would have bombed, and then they would have blamed us. They would have blamed the Snyder.
Well, I mean, I remember like the Squadcast guys, like Scott and Tim. They said they have like a whole. They had like a whole like list. It was like 2 pages long of like announced during that era, like announced DC projects that they got announced and then we never saw them. And it was things like Plastic Man and Wonder Twins, and again, like
Wonder Twins is the one that made me fucking throw up my tongue. Wonder Twins was like, "Are you joking with me? Are you throwing this out there to see if I'm paying attention?" I remember when that, because I think I was on Enoch's job. I wanted people fired just for
and they were a little bit into that before, because they had some casting done.
People, dude, they were starting to cast people, and I'm like, you need to be stopped right here and now. You need to be stopped. That's an intervention right there. No, you're not. All right. If you're reading the stories, Chuck, I don't know how far in, or if you're reading them not, you'll know why there's a reason why I don't think you're going to see an absolute Booster Gold. If you're reading the stories, and I don't want to spoil it because some of you guys are different.
I know.
If you're reading Absolute DC, you have it. Like I said, you'll know why I don't think that's going to happen, because of the nature of his powers and what he's doing and where he is at. If you guys got to be reading Superman, the story that they're telling in Superman with Superboy Prime is fucking brilliant. In fact, we need to cover that next week. I have neglected that with you guys. I have not neglected in reading it because it's beautiful, especially for fans that when I tell you that Crisis had as much use to me as a used diaper. When you read this storyline, you understand why, in my opinion, because they've completely undone Crisis. They don't. No one will ever admit it, but that was a mistake. But yeah, you'll understand what I'm saying about Booster Gold, because Booster Gold is a critical factor in what's going on. So is Superboy Prime, so is Superman, and the Legion of Superheroes, which I think have been criminally misplaced since the great Keith Giffen was not in charge of those family books. Ooh, that sounded weird. It sounded like one of the straw. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, you must have. I must have mentioned that. Absolute Suzanne would be great. Absolute Lockup. What the fuck? Absolute Catwoman is in the next episode, next issue. As a matter of fact, you see she's actually in the last one, but you see her costume. Let me bring her up real quick. She's actually been in the whole thing. Absolute Batgirl she's a cop right now. Yeah. Doesn't mean she won't become her, but right now she's not. Yeah, this is going to be the cover of 13. Let me give you a wow, fucking allergies, you're killing me. This is from Golden Apple Comics, so yeah, I'm stealing your stuff, Golden Apple. Sorry. You guys are legendary though. You probably don't even know I exist. But yeah, there's Absolute Catwoman right there. That's a cool helmet. That's kind of like the helmet that Black Mask had, the top of his helmet. I think that's where she got it from. But this comes out.
Well, the thing about Catwoman too is that her costume is a lot less codified than a lot of other kids. So it's a lot more malleable from like artist to artist. And not only that, but also when you see it in live action too, it's like basically with her, it's like she needs cat ears and the whip. That's kind of it. So it's like the only consistent.
Well, she's got technology in that helmet too. So.
Yeah. So it's
that's a variant cover for Absolute.
So you have a lot of room. You have a lot of room to play around with like Catwoman's outfit that you don't necessarily have with a lot of other characters.
You kind of look like UFC fighter Khalid Macho Jr. Me, I don't know who that is. Brad, do you know who that is?
Bring that name up again. I think I know who's in it. Khalil Roundtree. Yes.
I don't know if he's talking about me.
Oh, it's definitely not. He definitely doesn't think I look like him. This is that's for he's thinking you.
Yeah. Well, the store I need to plot what I'm going to steal. Steel. You're going to turn it into metal. Is that what you're going to do? Help me out. I will help you to your vehicle, and then I'll fill out that insurance claim after you're done.
Yeah, this is who. Yeah, shit. Yeah, this is Leo Roundtree. I wasn't familiar with this gentleman, even though I follow MMA pretty closely. But yeah, it's definitely. I'm definitely not the one who looks like him.
I definitely don't, at least from the head down. Like how was that? You went to the early show. How was that? That's their last show at the Tropicana. They're losing their theater. We just celebrated 50 years of Rocky Horror on our last show, and one of the casts in Vegas is Tropicana Theater is closing up. But they kudos to Tropicana. You lasted 5 years longer than I ever thought you would. Actually, you lasted 10 years longer. You lasted 10 years longer into the streaming era, because I just really, when it hit me, I'm like, yeah, these dollar cinemas that used to be everywhere are feeling the hit, because it used to be that's where you made backup income. There was 3 ways you could make your money back in the old days, like, which is 10 years ago, like it's black and white era. You made your money at the box office, which you had to give a lion's share of the way to the actual box office itself, or home media. You sold videotapes, you sold DVDs. Now, as the streaming era has come, but even then, the physical media usually was like at least 7-8 months afterwards. Remember, there used to be a gap in between when something went to theater and when it hit cable and physical media. And in that interim time, the dollar cinemas could play it because they were theatrical venues. So they just basically were part of the extended window once the mainline theaters were over. So you could go see a movie for $1 or $2.50. But with everything being jettisoned right to digital, they pretty much eliminated a lot of these things.
Well, and that's also what that's what, like, when you those of us who've lived on military bases a lot, that's basically that's what I don't think they could still have it, because
you always have a base theater, because there's some places where we can't leave.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
there are some places, especially if you're in the Army.
Yeah,
even if you're in the States where the Army sticks you, do you really want to go out on the town? So they will always have a theater. But as far as like everybody else goes, like civilian ones,
well, like growing, like
it was $1 cinema,
Well, like that, I forgot, when I was a kid, I mean, it was usually when my parents, because up until I was like 14, I wasn't seeing movies theatrically anywhere near as much as I do now. So we saw something in a theater, it usually was on the base theater, and that kind of functioned as a, because it always stuff that came out on the when it got to the base theater, it had already been out for probably like a month and a half by that point.
Yeah, and and the thing about the base theater is they don't get charged.
Yeah,
they get it for free. Just like, by the way, if you Armed Forces Radio and Armed Forces, oh man, I found this out the hard way. When you watch the Super Bowl, what's one of the coolest things about the Super Bowl?
It's a halftime show.
No.
Okay.
Target. What's the coolest things about the Super Bowl?
The national anthem?
Commercials. The commercials.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Super Bowl commercials. So I'm deployed watching, this is when Philadelphia was playing New England Patriots, I think. We're watching this 4 a.m. in the morning, because I'm like on the other side of the planet. And, we're going to watch, hey, Super Bowl commercials. Coolest thing about that, right? Goofy commercials, crazy commercials. No commercials. Armed Forces join your U.S. for Armed Forces Europe. Make sure you re-up. Make sure you sign up again. Make sure you're getting all your benefits. And I'm like, what? Recruitment? What? And the reason being, and then what they would do though, is after the Super Bowl was aired, the next day they would give us a show that was just the commercials, because the networks gave the military the TV programming that we watched for free. They didn't charge us. So they had to take the ads out because that would be a conflict of interest if, you were doing it other than that. There's just real. So yeah, I'm overseas watching and I'm like, damn, Super Bowl without no commercials? Because sometimes these games suck. That game didn't suck. That game was like a 3-point game. I remember that. But watching Super Bowl at 4 a.m. in the morning with wings and it's just, it was weird, but we were all in, dude. We were all in.
And you were, was this like you? This was like when you were in Iraq, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was 2005. That was the year of the incident with Janet Jackson.
No, that was 2003.
Oh, okay.
That was the New England versus Carolina. I was watching that at a bar when that happened, and I didn't think it was a big deal. I didn't think it was. Everybody lost their fucking minds. I didn't realize after the show that was a big deal. I mean, she didn't show anything.
Well, it was unintentional. It was a flub,
I think that shit was dumb. But yeah,
no, she could sue if that was if that they pulled that on her unexpectedly.
I don't think they expected people to lose their minds over it. I think it was planned. Justin Timberlake, I'll never forget that.
The base theater is definitely again it functioned like the. And one thing that you're gonna love this. One thing that I saw first time in a base theater was Mystery Men. So I saw it with my dad in a base theater.
Well, at least you have a good memory to attach to it. I don't.
You know what else? Like what were some of those we had? Like that Blade Trinity. We were living in a consumer Ederly. That was it's interesting. What else did they?
I don't.
Well, when we were living in Italy, it's like everything was on the base theater because there's one exception to that is that they had like an early show of The Matrix Reloaded that year, and it was out on one of the Italian theaters. And I still to this day don't know like the logistics, but for whatever reason, it was playing in one of the Italian theaters, but they had like a bracket where they were playing it like in English, where it wasn't. So it was like for American audiences, I guess. It's like, okay, we got people on the base.
Yeah, because even though it's in a different country, it still falls because the money. Yeah. If it's being shown in America, that they still get the line. It's a different licensing. Yeah, Matrix. That was the second one. That was the best one. But when I also like I said, episode 3, we got taken to a hangar. I think it was a hangar. We got taken to Kuwait. It was Arifjan. Arifjan was one of the permanent bases over their Third Army. And we got to see episode 3. We couldn't tell anybody anything about it either because we weren't supposed to. But it was
that was also like it was also like social media and YouTube really blew up. So it's like spoilers didn't spread within seconds.
Remember, episode 3 was pre MySpace. So.
Yeah, this is which tells you how long ago that was.
Yeah,
but this was. I mean, I thought back to that, like living on on the base in Italy. It's like God, like something like Snap or like even though we all knew that all 3 Peters were in No Way Home, just that reveal, like how it happens, or
execution is everything.
Or like Andrew catching it. Like Andrew, that's probably a better one. It's like as far as like surprise, like Andrew catching MJ.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine like how they would like keep that secret, like living because with how long the movie takes to get from stateside.
Well, the ship. By the time I got home, because we saw it when it first came out, we rented the theater out here. And RJ was out here. We rented that. I mean, it was already on YouTube.
Yeah,
in 2021. By the time I got home, it was on YouTube. But it doesn't. It's just like I said, knowing about something and having it spoiled for me, it's how it was executed. And everybody who tells you that Amazing Spider-Man and his Spider-Man was this and that, and everything that the MCU did at that time was roses and no one else could do anything and nobody cared about that, you understood how full of shit they were because that crowd that I was with erupted.
He caught MJ.
I was sitting next to somebody who was doing that whole thing in their eye. Oh, something in my eye, man. There were women that were just openly like wept because they understood. They knew what he had been through. They saw those movies. And when he catches her, that scene was like,
it was if there was the only cheer moments arrival, like Andrew and Toby actually showing up was that.
Yeah. And then remember, he, it was, William Dafoe's Green Goblin, that because it was really supposed to be Tom Holland, and Tom Holland, okay, naturally he's going to save her. But when he gets knocked away, people, because remember going into that, the one thing we did not know is if everybody was going to make it out alive. We knew someone was going to die. We got
and you saw in the trailer her falling.
Yeah, and then who we didn't know if it was going to be Aunt May or whoever. So they gave you the aura that somebody could die, and that could have been it, and that would have been a parallel what I would have understood. And so when you see him get knocked out of the way, and then they're like, "Oh shit, they're really going to do this."
Andrew's like, "No."
Andrew jump in there, and he saves her. Like I said, that's to me, and people make fun of the Martha moment. That to me is a full circle moment. If you understand the character, then you understand that moment. And I will say this, I will defend this. If you understand Batman and that version of Batman, the Dark Knight version of Batman, and you truly understand that version of Batman, no one would need to explain the Martha moment to you. No one would need to. If you read The Dark Knight Returns, no one should ever need to explain that moment to you. But we'd have to.
And that's what I'd love. That's what I really would love is under DC Studios is to get some kind of like No Way Home like equivalent for like the Snyder Justice League cast or like that happened with Andrew and Toby, like something like where you're talking about where he says like, oh, everybody supposedly hated this character or this iteration of movies, and then they're placed in this context, and then it just everybody just unites around them and just total just nerdgasm.
Even if you never got that, that's happening now. That's happening now because when you look at the amount of people that are watching these movies on streaming, that's the vindication is right there. You know, we just weren't mature enough. The comic book them as a fandom, we just did not have the capacity to at least, I didn't say like it. You could have watched it and still not liked it. We didn't have the capacity to even give it a shot then. We didn't have the capacity like even because I know I talked to some of these people that were there then, that were of age, that were watching this and wouldn't give it a chance. And it already, you know, and then here are 10, 12 years later, 13 years later, they're watching it and they don't have their fanboy shitheads around them. It's just them and the content. There's no peer pressure. And they're coming up with a different opinion. Like I said, I never said that everybody needs to like what I like. Just give it a shot. Now I think we're a lot because it's streaming, because we can watch the stuff in the solitude of our own solitary confinement of our own home. We don't have to be part of some conversation. A lot of the whole Marvel versus DC and the old "this ain't my Superman" or "this ain't my Batman" was pack mentality. You had people who had no business in conversations. They wanted to be in these conversations so bad that they would just go along with the near stupid shit that they heard.
I can't tell you, like in the lead up to BVS, like how many people told me it's like this movie is doomed to fail because Affleck's Batman and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman had not gotten solo movies yet. As preceding that, it's like because they didn't get solo movies before this.
Yeah. I get why you said the Martha Man. I don't like that. I have to disagree with you, Music Man. I thought everything about that scene was perfect. That's actually, if I have to name a top 20 or top 25 of all-time favorite comic scenes, it's how that was done. Because of the Batman they had presented, because of the demeanor of Bruce Wayne giving up on everybody, and basically he had a nihilist perception of everything. He had forgotten why he became Batman. He
lived long enough to see himself become the villain.
When the key thing of them having the same name, he became Batman because he was helpless to stop his Martha from getting slaughtered. He was a 9-10-year-old kid. There was nothing he could do. And that shaped him. That created him. Now he's here watching someone about to become an orphan. Something he became the Batman so that no one else would feel that pain. And it's about to happen again. So now he realizes why he became Batman again. And then when he says, this is my favorite line, when he says Martha's not going to die tonight, he's making a statement. He's making a statement that this Martha is going to live, that this Martha, this cycle is ends here type of situation. I immediately got it. And that to me gave me a chill down my spine. And other people laughed at it. And I'm looking at him, I was like, damn, that's unfortunate.
We're coming up on 10 years in March on it too. God, it's crazy to think, like, because this whole cluster of that collection of them, Man of Steel, BVS, Wonder Woman, Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's like, I mean, there's so much still in the zeitgeist. I mean, you would think they came out last week. So it's so crazy to think that BVS is coming up on 10 years in March, but I'm really curious, like, because you just know, the fans are gonna do this. Zach will probably do this, something like this too, do some kind of like commemorative, 10th anniversary kind of thing for it. And I'm really curious, like, what the if the conversation around Martha's will have shifted in any significant way since then.
Yeah, because like I said, I remember watching it because we did a pre-screening of it, of course. And I remember explaining to people the people who like the comic book guys that had read that had read The Dark Knight, that had read The Dark Knight and understood how he felt about Gotham, how he felt about being Batman and whether it was even worth it or not. That was they understood it, and like I said, and I like I said, if you didn't understand it, ask. But there were just people that just made fun of it, and it was like, they made, and by extension, they were just making fun of us. And I'm like, you just, because it didn't hit you in the right way, it doesn't mean it wasn't, that wasn't relevant. I just explained to you why it was. Yeah, I try to tell people, and like I said, I try to do it in a way that I'm thinking, no, I'm talking to very educated people when we're talking about this, and I'm disappointed, and I'm like, dude, you're smart. Some of you guys are, you're smarter than me. You're smarter than me, but you either chose to not understand that moment, or you're mocking it. You're openly mocking it, or and if you didn't understand it, that's fine. I can understand. I can respect the fact that it didn't hit you, but the mocking of it is like, I don't understand it. It's like a joke. I didn't get a joke. There are, I don't. How many times I watched Carson with my dad, and I didn't get the joke. I didn't say the joke was stupid. I just didn't get it. It didn't hit me. It wasn't for me. So yeah, I was always bothered by the whole Martha thing, simply because I thought it was a brilliant moment that I was sharing with my fellow comic book people, and then they're all, "Oh, her name is Martha," and then you hear it on these shows, and I'm like, that's kind of shitty, but that's fine. Okay.
Music Man asked us a minute ago, and do you think Batman will show with Peacemaker?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
That's also means like
which Batman are we talking about though?
Are you talking about like whoever like the Batman of the DC will be? Which my answer is
I don't think so. I think
that's almost certainly not going to happen.
Will Pattinson Batman show up? I think there might be a door that opens up, and he'll look over, and then the door will get slammed if it's him at all.
Yeah, because like a lot of these, and I guess maybe this is a good way to segue into the Peacemaker topic for next Thursday.
I need to use the restroom real quick. So, I know I'm leaving you with this man, and he's going to use the time that I'm going to the urinal and back to bore you with shit. I'll edit it out later. Don't worry about it. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay, so guys. So anyway, the Furious, Hong Kong martial arts action ensemble, upcoming, insane buzz from all the film festivals, and it's can't wait for it because it's gonna be rad. Actually, kind of. Maybe not related, but I did have some posts on Twitter earlier where I'm sure you guys. So I'm going to bring it up actually to William when he gets back before we go into Peacemaker. Just kind of gets his thoughts on it because the Fast and the Furious is apparently in a little bit of a production difficulty with the finale Fast 11 that Vin Diesel announced. Like, okay, it was out in April in 27. We got 3 conditions. We're going back to LA, street racing, and Brian O'Connor's back or reuniting him with and I had some fun with that on Twitter right, so it's like, Fast Furious played out anyway. We just need the Furious. That's right, Aaron, that's right. I'm damn with you. I'm with you on that, and that's why I tagged Aaron and Perp and just have fun. It's like, Fast Furious is played out anyway, because it's like, we don't need Fast Furious, we just need the Furious. But apparently there's a report in Wall Street Journal that they there is, despite Vin Diesel's kind of the enthusiasm we put behind that announcement, there's Universal's like, okay, we drastically overspent on the last one, so we got to scale back the budget, and they don't have the script isn't locked, the most of the cast isn't locked yet, so it's still kind of up in the air. And it apparently is a bit of a question. It's like, is this going to happen at all unless they can like shave another $50 million off their budget? So that's where I had fun with that, and the dad Aaron and Perp when it's like, forget Fast and Furious. Let's just stick with the Furious. Because that's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a game changer like the raid. But really that is interesting that's going on with Fast and Furious, because I've really kind of checked out on the series. Other than Hobbs and Shaw, Hobbs and Shaw is the only one after 7 that I've liked on anything but an ironic level, because they have Jumping the Shark doesn't even cover what the status of Fast and Furious right now. It is, I can't even of course, it's only watched up to 7. I stopped there. Well, 9 is of course that 9 is with the space car and yeah, they've. I mean, it's the cartoon at this point. I mean, there's honestly, I think, and this is something I don't know if I've said this on other streams before, but I've kind of said, I think part of it's also, I think Vin Diesel, he's kind of started blurring the lines a bit about where he ends and Dominic Toretto begins. If that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know in the chat. What are your thoughts on the status of Fast and Furious? I find this highly unlikely as far as any cameos or anything. Yeah. So while you were away, we were talking about the Furious, but no, before we get to Peacemaker, because even though you're not a fan of this so much of this franchise, I don't know if you saw the report floating around from Wall Street Journal talking about like the kind of the gridlock with Fast and Furious, the finale has on that, where it's like, oh yeah, the Vin Diesel announced it with such enthusiasm, the finale number 11 is like, okay, we're going back to LA, street racing again, and we're bringing back, uniting Dom and Brian O'Connor, and now there's some consternation behind the scenes. It's like, okay, we got to really whittle down the budget because the first one cost an arm and a leg, and then some, and barely made any kind of profit. And I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if like Campy.
Well, they're right. They're right.
Oh, they are right, because it costs like 380 or something.
Yeah, that's the one thing that you can control, and that's why when people, when they say when they talk about movies and they talk about inflation and everything else, and they say, well, you have to compare the cost of making a movie and inflation. And no, you don't fucking have to do that at all, because that has nothing to do with demand. The budget is something that you can control. So if you're going to do something again, you can cut the budget in half. You don't have to spend $350 million on a Fast and the Furious movie. You wanted to, and they thought that they could, they thought it was a $1 billion franchise every time out. But even the $1 billion franchises are going to take a step back because of the modern reality of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's them telling them, yeah, you need to go back. And you know what? Guess what? I don't think that franchise needs that stupid shit. They don't need a car going in and out of space. Yeah. They don't need a car dodging a cruise. They don't need that stuff. Look at the money that those movies made before they started getting goofy. Those movies did fine. So
when the craziest thing was like dragging the streets of Rio,
which was complete. That was one of the saner things that they did.
Yeah, compared to going to space.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that movie, be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of that franchise, but I any franchise, if you could end it on a high note and reconnect with, because that's not what got them where they were.
Well, it's kind of like I'd sort of like it what you say about the Snyderverse stuff, where it's like, I mean, you properly finish it, in terms of like the lawn, not just for like the sake of like people who want it, but also it's like we've got something that puts a bow on this now, so that once it's in its like home media and streaming, afterlife, then it's okay. Now we have something that's concrete, fully packaged, that's digestible, that has a beginning, middle, and end, and we can actually generate revenue on long term.
Yeah,
and which is
they can do offshoots.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm a fan of the series like 5 through 7 and Hobbs and Shaw. Those are the ones I really, really enjoyed. Pre-5.
Completely do without the entire Tokyo Drift, though. I just, that wasn't my thing.
Yeah. Pre-5, they're okay, and they really go downhill from 8 in the main series. Again, I love Hobbs and Shaw, but the main series like 8, 9.
Without that movie is one Jason Statham away from me never fucking seeing it.
So yeah, 8, 9, and 10 though they kind of go for me. So 10 is watchable entirely for Jason Momoa.
In what cocaine-filled universe is that movie watchable? But that's
the one that Jason Momoa's villain came out of, because he is the reason.
Yeah, that's not enough. He's the best thing in that movie, but that's not enough. That's not enough. Anyone read the comic? Yeah, I have it on the shelf. I have not read it yet because I flipped through it. It looks ridiculous, but all these things that they're doing, I got Godzilla versus Thor. And the covers kick ass. It's the hammer and it's Godzilla's head. Some of these covers have been. Hold on for a second. Some of these covers have been ridiculous.
So you got Godzilla fighting DC and Marvel. I mean, come on, it's like Godzilla. You should be fighting superheroes. See, I think it's a good thing to wing this along. Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said for absence makes it. I always say it's like when you're talking about sequels or franchise continuations, there's two ways to look at it. It's like strike while the iron's hot, or absence makes the heart grow fonder. So maybe that's kind of what they're doing. But even then, it's like, I don't know. I think Fast and Furious really is kind of spent at this point. I don't know if they can really rely too much on people left wanting, especially with like what it's become. Correct me if I'm wrong. In Hobbs and Shaw, did they hack a knife to turn it off? How did they turn off it? Did they what? Fill me in here. Like, what are you talking about? Turn what off in Hobbs and Shaw? Okay, he's coming back. William's coming back with the.
Let's see some of the ones I can grab real quick. So this is the one where this is actually a John Romita cover, I think. It's Thor, Godzilla versus Thor. It's silly. The whole concept is silly, but they've been doing it.
Well, and they got that now too with the DC's. Got Justice League versus Kong. They got.
Yeah, one of them's using the legendary version, and the other one is using the Toho version. This is the Marvel's using the Toho version. There's Thor, and then that's kind of a cool cover. This is Godzilla versus the Avengers. A shitty little lineup of Avengers, by the way. And this is the Green Lantern one. This is Justice League versus Godzilla and Kong too. Now they're using their legendary versions. You can see it's kind of fun, but I think it's kind of silly. But you know what? It sells. So
okay. By the way, so I got the Wikipedia for it up here for Fast X. Okay, the last Fast and Furious. Box office.
Get on that.
Because I was talking about. Well, I mean, this was making the rounds too today. This was news. Box office 714.4, which is, I mean, it's pretty good. It's declined from they peaked at 7, but they've kind of come down from the $1 billion threshold. But they're still doing pretty good, all things considered. But budget.
Yeah, I mean, if you do 700 million off of a $300 million budget,
378.8.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's. I mean, it's and they said like they barely made it into the black. If they turned any profit off of that, it was a small profit. I mean, it was relatively speaking, it was cents.
Yeah, and they didn't get involved. The investors didn't get involved just to creep across the finish line.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right, so let's talk Peacemaker. And we will wrap up tonight talking about. If you haven't seen this movie, I'm like that Jehovah's Witness, put my foot in the door before you try to close it. There's nothing that this movie can't make better.
Would you watch it upside down? So...
I can do it. I can do it. It doesn't matter which way you watch Blade Runner 2049. I have run out of words. I've run out of adjectives. And I'm not a physical media guy. I'm one of the $22 million worth of people who bought this and made it sell out when it first came out. And it came with like a little car that you could build. It was like hard as fuck too. But there you go. But we'll get into that later on because I got some pictures from when I promoted it. Happy 8th birthday, Blade Runner 2049. All right, Peacemaker. Coming off of the, if you want, pull up some Peacemaker stuff because I didn't. I had it up. The internet went down. Episode 7, I can safely say now, 3 days removed from it, that it is the best of the 2 seasons. I don't even know if episode 8, even when it surprises, will surpass the content-wise that this was. There's a difference between having a bunch of reveals and it actually being an episode, a good story. I found this out a lot with Game of Thrones. The penultimate episode, traditionally with Game of Thrones, was the second to last episode, was the episode where a bunch of stuff happened. And then what they did with the last episode is they would set the stage for everything else going forward. So it sounds like Peacemaker is following that same thing, but where Game of Thrones didn't have multi-dimensional portholes and shit.
Yeah.
That, with an 80-year-old universe that you could pretty much throw a lot of things in if you wanted to get crazy.
Now,
I don't know how crazy he's going to get.
And that is interesting because Gunn, he is, I don't know if I'd say downplaying the cameo side of it, but he's really kind of emphasizing it with like within the context of the story.
Yeah,
which
is the only way you should ever bring in cameos, by the way.
But he's like responding to people on social media saying it's like what's all the craziness, or like what's all the fixation on theoretical cameos. It's like his excitement for it is like how this propels the franchise forward, which it seems that cameos can be a component of that. Maybe is probably like how he looks at it.
Some people cannot be saved.
Are you a Soldier fan?
All right, continue.
Okay, so anyway, so I don't know, like, in fact, let me see if I can find actually those exact comments he made. But
I think no matter what, there are going to be people who are going to be disappointed, because whenever you promise cameos, the person presenting the cameos thinks one way, and the fanboy thinks it's going to be everybody and their mother from the family tree of comic bookdom. That's why Doctor Strange. I mean, we knew there were going to be cameos in Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, but they were relevant to the story that they were telling, and not the nostalgia and the mixed bag that everybody wants. When they say cameo, this guy's going to be in there, this guy's going to be in there. Might run into the same problem with Avengers Secret Wars as well. You have a lot to use in Avengers Secret War. You could do it, but not every cameo is relevant to the story. It ends up becoming clutter.
Okay, so now he had like one thing he's previously said on this, and this is like before we were like nearing the finale here. This is like back in August. He says, we will have big cameos the final episodes. We have some really, really big stars from the DC universe that are going to be near the end of the season. We've already somewhat seen that with Lex Luthor, the appearance. But even that, I don't know if I necessarily count that as like, because again, it's coming right off of the movie he was in. So it's like, I mean, it's a big appearance, but it's not. It's I don't know if it quite fits what he's describing there. And then there's
it wasn't a no shit moment, is what it was.
Yeah. It was a that's cool moment, but it wasn't like a Thanos turning around kind of moment. So and this other quote he has on it, he's responding to someone on social media recently. It's not and he was asked like, what about the cameos in episode 8? He says it's not about the cameos, it's about the story and the twists and the emotion and fun. Cameos are only fun if they're part of the story.
And I agree 100%.
And there was one other one where he kind of downplayed. Again, it's like I wish I could find this where he kind of downplayed. Again, I don't know if that's the best word to use. Where he responded to somebody
metered expectations, probably.
Where he said something like, "It's like what's with all this like talk about cameos?" It's like I'm excited about like how this pushes the franchise forward. Again, that's paraphrasing, but it's kind of the essence of what he was saying. But. With all that said, I think everybody is confident there's still going to be, pretty substantial cameos in that, or even if it's not cameos, in the sense of like characters appearing on screen, we got 100 doorways we can like, they're can be opened, and like we can, even if it
could be dimensions of things we've never seen too.
Yeah, we just open it could open the doorway. It might not have a character appear, but it might be enough to like, it might reveal enough to say, okay, this is what this Earth is, this is what this Earth is, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think he's tempering the expectations, because there is a good chance that there are no oh shit moments in here. And that's what you should do. And if there ends up being one, then great, it's a bonus. But I don't think we should build. I don't think the perception of quality should be built around cameos, because most people who throw cameos in the shit fuck it up. So we're looking at hoping that minority here actually lands it in its part of the story, because if you look at it, it's only a handful where the cameos are relevant in most of these movies. So he is right to temper the expectations.
One thing, again, the other thing about that I've said too is like a lot of these can also be handled with archive footage without necessarily like filming new scenes. But again, you could like swing open the door and like see Darkseid, or swing open the door.
Well, I guarantee you, all of them are going to be archival footage because you didn't have the budget. The show is already expensive as fuck to begin with. So there's only one cut that you need to understand, Music Man, and that is the international cut. All that other stuff you only need the international cut. I'm not being serious here. If you want to get into Blade Runner, that is the best cut. That has the voiceover. So a lot of the movies, sometimes people say they can't understand the movie. It loses me with the voiceover that Harrison Ford and Ridley Scott did not want, but Alan Ladd Company made them put on there. It saves the movie for a lot of people. So the international cut has the original ending, and it has the voiceover. So ignore all other cuts. The international cut is the only one you need.
Right. William, what if one of the doors leads DCU Peacemaker's room? That's entirely possible.
It's possible because, like I said, everything we're watching in Peacemaker was birthed from the DCU. And regardless to where he went with it, it came from there. We wouldn't have these characters if it wasn't for
that might be like how some of this is handled, or how some of this is presented. Some of these doors, they might swing open the door, and it's like we might not see like cast members, but we might see like details or like enough to confirm like this is the world that you're peering into, and one of them might be DCEU, one of them might be.
I could show you, I could open up a door and Cavill's Superman is on the TV lifting up a train.
Or like you open up another one, you see like the architectural layout of like the Burton Gotham City or something.
Yeah, and I open up another one and it's the Omega symbols on the ground. I mean, and I close it. It could be just that. I mean, he could mute all of this, or he could go crazy with it. And I just don't know which way he's going to go. I just want to have some fun with it. Yeah, international cut. That is it.
And I think I've asked you this before. Like, what does Ridley Scott consider his preferred cut of Blade Runner?
The director's cut.
Okay. And there's 7 also.
I think that's absolutely abysmal. See, Ridley Scott's got to understand that he's going to have an understanding of the film that no one else will ever have.
Yeah, it's true, yeah.
But as far as like building the Blade Runner religion, you got to give him the international cut or the theatrical cut, one of the two. Any version without the voiceover, to me, I throw it away. All you're gonna do is if you introduce somebody to the movie, and everybody I've ever introduced with the director's cut has asked me a bunch of questions, because the way the movie is laid out, it's not laid out for you to really understand it. And that you have to be on a certain vibe, and that's not good for mass consumption.
And now, going back to Peacemaker too, like when he talks about like any cameos or anything of this nature, like peering through the dimensional doorways being pertinent to the story, like one thing I was kind of thinking of is that now you said you probably won't see anything like Antimatter as like a player in his story, but it sounds to me like he wants to like he wants to create a scenario where like these worlds, if not directly interacting, at least there's some kind of potentially. It sounds like there's like maybe like a common threat to all of them, which, I mean, Darkseid's definitely a candidate for that kind of thing.
It could be Darkseid, or it could be some other. Brainiac may not be something that comes from as native to the universe that Peacemaker Season 2 takes place in. Yeah. Brainiac might be a derivative from another dimension completely. He may be completely he may, instead of being an alien from a particular planet, he may be an alien from another dimension. Because remember, we still got to figure out what that nasty thing is that keeps dumping its babies into the fire every episode. Yeah. We need to figure out what that is. And I think that is, don't forget about that, guys. That's relevant. That is relevant. I don't know how, but I'm like, he didn't keep going back to that. And remember that alien that he killed the asshole father killed. So those are going to be relevant. Those are things that are going to be relevant. So it could be Brainiac, it could be Darkseid, because like I said, Darkseid is outside of all of that. So Darkseid, he could go, but I don't think he's going to do this.
Or it could be it could be like a not even like dark. If he doesn't use Darkseid, he could use a new god, just like either from New Justice or Apocalypse, because again, those same rules apply to all of them. It's like they all are outside of the multiverse, canopy. So
but there's only one threat that would be coming from them. Everything else would be benevolent would be if it's the new gods, if it's High Father, those guys, it's going to be guys.
What I've always wanted to see done in live action when it comes to new gods is there's a whole bunch of characters. But as far as like Apocalypse, I've always wanted to see Calabac in live action, because he doesn't get enough love. I think he's Darkseid's son. He's basically like he's designed as basically like
brother.
He's basically like a caveman. So,
you'll get to see him in Miracle Man. I'm pretty sure that they'll do that with Miracle Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that you could go a lot of different directions. But I am set up. I'm not going to set myself up in the disappointment if I don't get certain things though, because this could be, because a lot of the stuff I want to see is not relevant to his story.
Yeah,
so he doesn't have any real justification for being there.
And that's the thing too. Like a lot of these doorways, the show, it might not be throwing open doors, but it might be like, again, like including doors we talk about a lot on the show. It might be like necessarily throwing them open, but it might be like leaving them ajar, which is like, again, that's more than we've gotten. It's more than we've gotten for the last regime.
Well, letting those people on the other end of those things are aware now of another dimension.
Yeah.
Because remember, nobody was aware of these things or openly aware of these things until they crossed over into each other's dimension.
Yeah.
So it could be the fact that the threat doesn't know that Peacemaker's universe is out there yet. And when idiot Rick Flag goes bouncing in there with his dummies carelessly, what he ends up doing is he ends up alerting several threats, maybe more than one, into the fact that this universe, because you could be going into universes that have been depleted of all life. And the person who depleted all life there is like, wow, there's life in this one. Let me go get that. Or there's anti-life. There's anything that a villain could want. Brainiac subjugating. Like I said, Brainiac doesn't have to come from another planet to be an alien. He can come from another dimension. And Brainiac you could open up a world to an Earth that Brainiac has sapped the life out of and completely fucked up. And he desires more. And now he knows there is another Earth. There's just a lot of ways you could go with this. And all of them are fun. I think they're all going to be fun. I have faith in wherever he takes us next Thursday is going to leave us having a positive conversation about DC more so than anything.
Yeah. The Suicide Squad is the first film. I mean, yeah, that is interesting. I mean, what is the candidacy?
It depends on how he ultimately lines it up. There's no answer to that question. There's no he's fudged around the answer, because to be honest with you, if I'm him, I don't answer that question until at least after episode 8.
And that's the other thing too. This also might what we're going to see might also it might answer questions, but also raise others and raise them in a intriguing way.
Yeah.
Where it might not show like Zack Snyder's Darkseid out there, but it might create enough connective tissue to where it's like, okay, we didn't see that cameo or we didn't see that door open, but it's still there's relevance to that it intertwines with whatever he's doing.
Now, would I want to see something like that? Sure. But steel yourself, people who want to see something like that, for the 99.9% possibility that it's not going to be anything like that. If it happens, obviously we'll be making a loud noise across our fandom. The odds of it happening are not high. Don't judge the value and the quality of this.
Yeah, Aaron.
If we don't get something like that, because the odds of us getting something like that are almost non-existent.
Yeah, Aaron. Yeah, this is Calabac here. This is Darkseid's son and Orion's brother. It's like I've always wanted to see this dude in live action. And like I said, look, he's basically a caveman as far as design goes.
He can take on Darkseid.
Yeah,
and Orion, his younger brother, he has killed Darkseid. So
yeah,
So Darkseid is not unbeatable. It takes another new god,
or it takes a Kryptonian.
I mean, Superman really can't. He really shouldn't be able to beat Darkseid. The way Darkseid is constructed and the way Darkseid is explained, Superman, he should toy with Superman. When him and Superman are one-on-one, it should be like a Rottweiler playing with a chew toy. That's what that battle is. And every time I see now, Superman can resist the Omega beams to a certain extent, but it still causes him damage. It still causes him pain. Darkseid, strength-wise, is stronger. But he doesn't engage in that kind of combat for most of the time. He's more cerebral. But Calabac and Orion is a new god.
Mm-hmm.
Orion is from the same fabric
that's why I love the ending, the finale of Justice League Unlimited so much. Where the finale of Superman like beating the tar out of Darkseid. I love that because the way he lays out, it's like you can take it. So I would have just take the gloves off and just show you how hard I can hit.
And Darkseid could have just went, I'm done with this. Omega beamed him back in time. And he could have, like he did Batman.
James Gunn says it's the craziest. Yeah, he's very proud of what he's doing.
But that's coming from his point of view, though. So we gotta I think it is. I believe him. I'm just like I said. I don't want to see a hate stream on fucking Friday morning because whoever didn't get to see their cameo is now mad because they didn't get to see. We're going to put this guy in. Never said he was going to put those guys in. This if you get it, great. If you get it's like they said, Multiverse of Madness, and those cameos were relevant to the story.
They showed up to get killed.
Yeah, in a way, Black Bolt can't die.
And I was so certain that Toby was going to be in because he had Raimi directing. We're just coming off of No Way Home. I was so certain that Toby was going to be in Multiverse of Madness.
I was sure he wasn't going to be, and because that soon after the movie he had been in, and he had no relevance in that movie. So half the people in that movie didn't have any relevance. But when Black Bolt dies.
Yeah, well, apparently, he's also made some allusions. Well, he's already years before thought about Blue Beetle as like the first character, so we might see him pop up,
which wouldn't move the needle for me whatsoever. Big deal. What was I saying? Worry about that. Yeah, we don't need any. The likelihood of any. Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, and Black Bolt. I'll make his mouth disappear and his screams will collapse.
God, my audience. So when she goes, "What mouth?" and then cuts back to him.
Yeah,
that whole sequence of her just taking out the Illuminati. I mean, that was just they were just eating it up.
And it was stupid. It was like, first of all, did we not read a comic book before we did that to Black Bolt? He's immune to his own voice, the energy of his voice. He's immune to it. It comes from his body. It's not going to kill him. And I'm sitting there like, this is stupid. I said it out loud.
She just made his brain explode. Really, is what happened. So
no, he tried to speak, and his power collapsed his body. One of the, if not, other than Melon Cartelar's death in The Dark Knight Rises, which was consistent with that movie, which that was one of the dumbest comic book deaths I've ever seen. Stupid.
Okay, so here's that another one of Gunn's quotes. James Gunn says Peacemaker Season 2 finale is insane. I can guarantee it's the craziest, wildest, most insane and wonderful episode of Peacemaker we ever produced. Now look at these photos here. So right away, like, what's this all about? Like this like gingerbread land universe.
Shit.
Yes. So some of these, and then Skull Spider. Some of these universes, again, these
Skull Fighter, I think, is going to be the most disappointing for people.
Yeah,
because they're reading everything into it just because they see a Skull Spider. They're reading Brainiac into it.
Well, but it sounds like it looks like some of these are. He's at least got a few that are just. Again, I don't think it's unreasonable to make the presumption when he talks about 100 coexisting realities that these are DC realities. These are realities where Keaton, Reeve.
Yeah, and if it's not, in the likelihood that it's none of those.
But what I'm saying is that creates the apparatus for all those things to coexist. But with these images, also, I think he's also kind of suggest to me also at least a few of these we're going to see are going to be kind of throwaway ones.
I think they all are. But I can be wrong.
Again, like the gingerbread man you rolled up top here.
All right, the Superman versus Darkseid fight, or Batman versus Apocalypse. Yeah, okay. Much more competitive than it should have been, but I got you. It looks cool. Have Darkseid's make me always ever since Euxus usurped his brother's the power, which is a mega effect that was intended for his brother, he's been able to do that. He's immensely powerful. And people, when we read Darkseid in the comic books, if you're actually reading some of his best stories, you realize just how powerful he is. And when they say new God, the word God is they make sure that you know that he's on that level of what he can do. And then he's augmented his powers with other skills and things that he's learned, out of millennia of existing. And there's really only supposed to be a handful of people that can take out someone on that level. Obviously, Highfather can compete with him. His own sons.
And actually, I remember when the movie was coming out. In the history lesson scene, there was speculation when Darkseid, when he has the staff that he smashes down to the ground to harvest the anti-life equation. I remember a lot of people theorizing that was a Highfather's scepter that he had, in his backstory that we had seen prior to that. It's like that was Highfather's scepter that he was using in the history lesson.
Yeah. Now remember that history lesson was before he got that mega effect, so that's how old that was supposed to be. The Skull Spider. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it looks cool, but I'm thinking you might see that for 2 seconds and then the door closes. And then everybody's gonna be.
Do you think? In fact, here's a good question. I mean, do you think they're going to open all 99 of these doors in this episode?
Yeah.
And he has said that this is 8 hour long. This is like 57 minutes is the official runtime. So or what do you think is the ceiling and like quantity wise of like other dimensions they'll open up or visit or peer into?
5, 10 at the max. Because you have to have an after effect of what you see. It's not just you open and slam and open and slam, and there's going to be something that happens as a result. And they're clearly walking. They're not just opening doors. They walk in. They're in that universe. That Willy Wonka universe. They're in that universe. So it's probably going to be. I don't think there'll be a lot of time to be able.
Here's also another way. But again, they can like establish like the coexisting nature of these things. Like they could go into one world. And like again, like with the skull, one of these doors they go through, and they talk to other characters, and they say, "Hey, back off, guys! We're not the world that got invaded by Darkseid or something like that, or we're not the."
I don't even think that they're either going to show them or they aren't. So in the scope of it, oh, you're talking about that? No.
Well, Film Junkie was honestly, he said he thought Kevin Smith might have a cameo in that. That'd be kind of fun. He did.
I'd be so disappointed. Stick to shit that actually hit the screen. Stick or has basis on something that hit the screen. Don't like I said.
If you montage your ending scene,
yeah, you could do an excerpt because James Gunn has been good about not introducing things that are not relevant to his story. I can't think of anything that will be more irrelevant than that. That the reason for putting that in is so stupid that that's not story. That's just.
By the way. The title of the episode is Full Nelson. So I don't know what that means. So,
Full Nelson is if I had you in front of me and I take my arms.
Yeah, well, I know what a full Nelson is. I don't know what in the context of why is it called Full Nelson.
Who is there? Somebody named Nelson that we're not? Who's it?
Well, Michael Rooker looks exactly like Willie Nelson on the show. So
there's no relevant name that we can tie it to. Yeah. Could be anything, man. All right, guys, let's move on to the greatest movie ever made.
Oh, real quick before we get that, William Bragg, one of the doors open will be Ryan Reynolds' Lantern Universe in 97 JLA.
The JLA pilot, no. Ryan Reynolds, I could see.
Well, they did that on Crisis too. They didn't have him, but they showed Owen there.
By the way, guys, all right. Please don't take this the wrong way. And please don't take this as an extension of how I feel about the CW. I understand you guys love it. And I understand some of you grew up with it. That's fine. That's great. What I need you, well, I don't even need you. What I hope you understand when you're saying, well, can we bring this guy from CW? Can we bring this guy from Lois and Clark? can we bring this guy from Smallville? Although everybody who watches these things, and I've been one of those guys, everybody who watches something they love thinks everybody else watched it. Everybody that fell in love with some little corner of the universe thinks that everybody was stuffed into that corner with them. It's the CW. And that's without me making any fun of it. There are very few things on the CW that do ad revenue. And most of them were not those shows. So when you're looking for something to show up in somewhere, I'm guessing, just a guess, it's probably going to be from something someone watched. And that just wasn't what that network was. It just wasn't what that network was. Remember, that network was formed from two failed networks that continued to fail for the next 15, 20 years. So you bring these characters in from these this microscopic by comparison audience, you're going to spend a whole bunch of time trying to explain. So if you're going to bring in cameos, wouldn't it be somebody that people know? Are going to see, and the numbers are there. This is not, I didn't make the numbers. This is not me hating on the CW, but why? And same thing with Batman Beyond. Same thing with Batman Beyond. Like I said, Raised by Wolves. I love that show, right? I thought everybody in the world was watching that show with me until I found out no one was. And then it got canceled. So I think that's the thing that we all think, that because we know what it is and we loved it, that millions and millions of people, when it comes to CW, I'm thinking thousands, maybe 100,000. That's not enough for the network to stay solvent. So just temper those expectations. And like I said, I don't want to hear CW Crisis anymore going forward. However you feel about that, back when they did it, I thought it sucked. But and it had one good thing in it that ended up meaning nothing so far. But CW Crisis, and then, you think you'll do Crisis? I don't think we're going to get Crisis in James Gunn's run, period. That's just a guess. But I don't think that what we saw on the CW was any indication that we should have ever done it in the first place, because it was horrible. It had one good thing in it, that character wasn't even part of the CW. And that's probably why it was the best thing on there. So just saying. I hear it all the time. Grant Gustin should be the Flash. I'm like, stop. But okay. All right. So now let's go on to Blade Runner. All right, years ago, I don't know. He just leaves to the most inopportune times. Brad just leaves the show. But anyway, hope he probably has to be. And that's great, Jose. That's great. I'm not saying you shouldn't like them, but any bearing going forward, I don't see how we would. You're talking about a cinematic universe with millions and millions of people that are going to see this. Why would we refer to something that thousands of people have seen and millions of people had never even heard of, for the most part? I'm just trying to put that in a proper perspective. I didn't think that much of the CW, to be honest with you. I thought the world of the effort that was put into it, they did the best that they could with the money that they had and what they were drawing. But as far as how I feel, I don't like low budget superhero stuff. I just don't like it. I think if you're going to commit to doing superhero stuff, spend the money or don't do it. That's just how I feel. And that wasn't their fault. But there you go. All right. So 2017, October 4th, as a matter of fact, Blade Runner 2049 premiered in Los Angeles. I saw the original in 1982. I saw it the same weekend I saw The Thing. They were released on the same day. 8-year-old me, since then, from 1982 to 2017, I carried Blade Runner with me like a cult member would carry a Bible. I saw all the cuts. I have the briefcase with all the cuts in there. I've seen every single version of Blade Runner. I own it on every platform. I own it on VHS. I own it on Blu-ray. I even have a Laserdisc somewhere in storage of Blade Runner. I had, after Independence Day 2 Resurgence, another sequel from a 20-year plus movie I waited for to see. And I remember in 2016, a year before Blade Runner 2049 came out, watching that abysmal mindfuck of a movie and wondering, oh my God, is this what I have in store for me when I go see Blade Runner? Am I going to see an abomination like what I saw in Resurgence? Not only did I not get that, I got, in my opinion, and this is coming from a card-carrying member of the Blade Runner Secret Society, or whatever you want to call this, a superior movie to its predecessor. I got a chance to promote Blade Runner. As a matter of fact, I promoted this movie with the guy who is my handler now with Warner Brothers, Patrick. This was our first movie that we worked together on. Let me see if I can bring it up. And we got a lot of swag to give away here. So I'm going to show you our promotion. So this was in my old screening room. This is so right there you can kind of see my movie screen is to the right. This is my old location. Those things that you got right there, these were put into bus shelters, but because they knew how much I loved this movie and how much I was anticipating this movie, that they gave me several of these to keep, and I still have them to this day. What was happening here is we gave you stuff, T-shirts and phone stuff and all kinds of stuff that, our umbrellas. We had the glow in the dark umbrellas. The people who showed up got those, and you can see the light. That was where we stood them to take a picture once they got their stuff. All right. These are 2 more. So I got a total of 5 of these. One of them has Deckard. One of them has Ryan Gosling's characters. And this is my old location. So we put these out in the front so you could take pictures there too. And this was all in 2017. And that's the old Sci-Fi Center. That was where I was at before I moved back to this location. This is about 8 years ago. I would move back to this plaza that I am in now about a little bit less than a year later. And those are the 2 that are side by side. Now, this is, you can't see it. You see a woman in a bra. So it's not porn. What that is that character Zora. Jill Cassidy's character. She's a replicant that chokes him out and he shoots her as she's running. That's her right there, but you can see my stage in front there, my movie screen. You can't quite see it in the dark there, but that's a full house of all the people, because what Warner Brothers wanted me to do is they wanted me to show the original. And all the people who showed up to the original got seats to the new one.
How many people are in that showing?
There are 56 people in the spread right there.
Okay. Is this in the Sci-Fi Center?
This is the old Sci-Fi Center.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. This was me giving away at the end credits, giving away all the prizes and doing all the drawings and stuff for the people who would get like really cool stuff. And it was some really cool stuff that we gave away. It's probably the most. And like I said, we took the pictures. The pictures that we sent to Warner Brothers looked a lot better than this because they were close up. This is me taking it from a different camera.
Was this like after the movie came out, or was like
this was right before the movie came out?
Oh, right. Oh, so this is like
all these people. Yeah, all these people that are at this screening went to the movie with me. There's a poster. I wish I'd have kept some more of those posters. And there's the everybody. I got more pictures than this, but I have to unearth them. There's a tent shell like that. Like, see what he has in his hand is what is behind him, because we gave some of those away. I kept some of them. I actually have some here at the store that are never being given away. This is them talking about it afterwards. Let's see. But yeah, we most of these people had never seen Blade Runner of any kind until we showed them to them.
They hadn't even seen the original?
They hadn't even seen the original. And I picked them because of that. Huh. I wanted to introduce people to the religion that is Blade Runner. All the other people had been with me already and seen this movie, but they were already going. I wanted to, I'm only going to get a first time to ever see Blade Runner again. 1982 was my first time ever seeing. I will never get that again. So when I try to do with certain movies like that mean a lot to me. I try to represent that to somebody else. Their first time seeing it. Now they've, watching somebody else experience it for the first time is not as cool as you doing it for the first time, but it's still something. That somebody left your venue with a better understanding of cinema. And then from this movie, 2 days later, we're all at Blade Runner 2049. And this is before the end credits thing got really, obviously 217, so we were about 3 or 4 years in. There are no end credits to Blade Runner 2049. Spoiler alert. It's a 2 hour and 45-minute movie. It's one of the reasons why I didn't do well, because it was so long. I stayed in that movie theater till the lights came on because the score, for those of you who love anything Hans Zimmer has ever done, this is his best work, and it's not even close. It's not even close.
By the way, real quick, talking about what you said, it's long as far as like it's a box. Yeah, because I've got the Wikipedia for it right up. This is Ridley Scott attributed the film's underperformance to the runtime, saying it's slow, too long. I would have taken half an hour.
Yeah, but it's still brilliant. So the sound score that Benjamin Wallace and his Hans Zimmer, it's his best work. Vangelis does the original score for the original movie, and no disrespect to him, none whatsoever. He's a legend. He was a legend. He takes what Vangelis did in the original and energizes it to the point where this is Sony Surround at the theater I saw it in right now, and it's literally overtaking you. If you see this movie in the right environment, the music and the escalation of the score is part of the experience.
Aaron, did we see William's pulpit in the Church of Blade Runner?
I would wear the gown. It's one of the few sound scores in the modern era that I purchased. They made 2,049 of them. I got one of them. And the guy who our intermediate Warner Brothers, he got another one. He got one himself because that's how good this was. I am not a Ryan Gosling fan whatsoever prior to this. He's been in movies that I don't have any, I don't care. La La Land, I don't know, Baby Driver, don't care. And when I heard that he had been cast, I'm like, all right. Because this was after Heath Ledger had been cast as the Joker, so I'm no longer going to second guess. And I'm damn sure not second guessing Denis Villeneuve at that. Even at that point, that's who he chose, that's the right guy. I had my doubts because I'd only seen him in cheesy shit, just like Heath Ledger. So he's phenomenal in this movie. It is his best movie I've ever seen him in. He is credible as the protagonist. He is credible as Officer K. Ana de Armas, this is one of the first movies. I think this may have been the first movie I saw her in.
Yeah, this was I think most people would attribute like her breakout probably was Knives Out, but this kind of put her on the radar.
Yeah, and she plays a character that is a holographic construct. That is basically anybody can buy it. It's a character called Joy. She outperforms herself in this one. This is one of her best things. And she was still learning the language at that time. Robin Wright is in this movie, Princess Bride, guys, for the time she's great. Jared Leto, I wanted more of Jared Leto. I know people have issues with Jared Leto. If you just focus on his performance, that kind of goes away. He's excellent in this. I wanted more of him, but there wasn't enough. Harrison Ford doesn't even come in until halfway through the movie. They use Harrison Ford to market everything because he's Deckard. But he doesn't even come in. It's a 2 hour and 45-minute movie. Harrison Ford is like after halfway point. Like I said, this movie, and I gave my review about this movie in 2017. I've reposted it since then. And it took me some time to say that this was a superior. But at the same time, it augments Blade Runner. Whatever Blade Runner wasn't because of budget constraints and just all kinds of crazy shit that they went through to making that movie Google Dangerous Days if you need to see how this movie almost didn't get made. It surrounds the original Blade Runner. It makes the original Blade Runner better in every way, so that when you watch one after another, you're literally watching one long movie. And that's what, once I saw that, I'm like, it doesn't matter if I ever do give rom-coms a chance or human interest shit or comedy a chance again, it would have to be Denis Villeneuve doing it. He's the only guy who I would venture outside and it would be worth my time. I may not like it, but I'm going to go just because just to see how he would do this. And then if it sucks, I'll never see it again, like Thelma and Louise. So, but that's where he put himself there. He should have been nominated for Best Director. I thought this should have been nominated for Best Movie. A lot of people don't realize that the original Blade Runner it was so influential that it didn't even win. It wasn't even nominated for anything Oscar-wise. This movie won for Best Visual Effects. They actually watched this movie, I'm assuming. And Best Cinematography. Now, the guy who did the cinematography, Roger Deakins, is a legend. He had been nominated 14 times prior to this and hadn't won. And it was a big night in Hollywood for people who were into that stuff that he won, and he won it for this. We've done watch parties for 2049. You guys know that I refer to it. I think it's like I say, and I've watched a lot of movies. I watched The Godfather. I watched all three of them. I watched Heat. I watched Manhunter. I watch a lot of things that are up there on that level. And 2049, Blade Runner 2049 is that movie for me. It is that go-to movie for me. Maybe because I'm biased, because I'm science fiction, horror, fantasy slanted, and that's fine. Everybody's going to have their favorite movie. I've heard people, I appreciate Monty Python, but when I tell you what my favorite movie is, and you come back, well, Monty Python's, I'm like, stop. But that's just me. But people like Life of Brian. I know a person who said Life of Brian's the greatest movie he ever saw. To him, it is. To me, this is it. This is it. This is the gold standard. This is the gold standard that I'm going to judge science fiction from this point on, from 2017 on. And I judged Dune, and I think fairly, how good Dune was by this standard, because it's the same guy with a lot more money this time around, and with a cast of people that are major attractions. So happy 8th birthday of Blade Runner 2049, the top of Williams' list. Like I said, when we did my top 10, and you guys had to guess, I gave you what number 1 was. All you had to do was guess what the previous 9 was, and you really didn't even do that because you knew what number 2 was, the original. So if I ever give you a top 10 and we do it for prizes, you're already 2 in the bag. You only have to guess 8. So I know, Brad, you're into all kinds of other genres. What kind of influence, if any, did this movie or its predecessor have on you?
No, I'm kind of a tourist. It's like I don't think I actually saw either Blade. Yeah, when did I see the original? I saw the original Blade Runner after 2049 came out. So like that was when I first discovered it. Now I saw their spin-off Soldier when I was still in high school. So that kind of got me in the later in the years.
We have done 2049.
Yeah, we've done both of them, haven't we?
Yeah, we've done them both.
And that again, we always have to preface that with like which version of the first one have you? That was the international cut, right? That we went with for.
Yeah, I will only show the international cut. I don't.
What is? And that's actually something I'm still not fully clear on. Is like what is because you be much more of a Blade Runner expert than I am. Like, what would you say is like the closest thing? I mean, I don't know how you could have a consensus around 7 different cuts, but like, what would you say is like kind of for most Blade Runner fans, consider their preferred version? Like, which one gets the most preference?
The theatrical version. Because it's the one that most people have seen. Now the director cut is right behind that. I don't agree with this, but the director cut is right behind that because a lot of streaming services license that version. Because what ends up happening is other high-end streaming or libraries will purchase the other one, and then they can purchase like all different versions of them. So like for a while, the one on HBO Max was the director's cut, which I don't like. I don't hate it. I just don't prefer it because, as somebody who's watched the movie 1,000 times, I don't need the voiceovers anymore.
Do you
I
think
needed them when I was growing up. I don't need them.
is would you describe that as the weakest version of it? Is the director's cut?
I think so.
Think so?
I think so.
Aaron says, and yes, we got, of course, a series coming up, but they will do it. Yes, we will.
Yeah, we have 2099, which is and you got to realize when Blade Runner came out and lost its money, I was, I never thought we were going to get a sequel. I never thought anybody would take the risk. They ended up taking the risk, and then they lost a lot of money in the actual box office, but they made a shit ton of money afterwards. Now, to let you know that
it's got the prestige too, what it got, Oscars
and everything else, yeah. But you also have to realize that when I tell you guys that people who are looking at the right areas don't stop counting money until the money stops getting made. Amazon sees this as a valuable draw. And they they're not gonna skimp on it. So when Blade Runner when I heard that Blade Runner 2099 was happening, I was elated. Any inch I get from this point of Blade Runner, I'm grateful for. Titan Comics, I have a wall. Like, next time we do an extra draw, I'll take you. I have a Blade Runner wall, and I have all kinds of Titan Comics on there because they've done an excellent job. As a matter of fact, this is one of them. This is a Sid Mead concept, the Voight comp test, and this is the kind of thing that they do. They do a lot of these concept versions, but they do a lot of beautiful painted stuff too. Anything I get from the Blade Runner universe from this point on, given that it had 2 underperforming movies and a lot of people were looking at it differently, I'm grateful for it. Now we got a show that's going to be on the air. We have comic books, we've had video games, we've had all kinds of things. So everything that I was okay with me just having Blade Runner 1982, being the benchmark of everything. To get a sequel. How many sequels of a legendary movie do that? I mean, you got Top Gun, and not just legendary, but legendary with that much time in between. Because honestly, Godfather 2 was. Some people consider Godfather 2. Some people consider Godfather 2 to be a better movie than Godfather 1. But those were only 2 years apart. Top Gun Maverick was 35, 36 years apart. Blade Runner was 35, 36 years apart. Independence Day, like I said, there's not everything is perfect. Independence Day Resurgence was a garbage movie. So, and that put a lot of fear into a lot of people about Blade Runner 2049 because of the fact that, okay, can you recapture the magic? Can you recapture the aura? Even though I was part of the marketing campaign for this movie, as a whole, Sony, Columbia, Warner Brothers, I didn't think they did a good job. I think they did a horrible overall job in the trailers and everything else. What they needed to do is they needed to give people a reason, not only to come back and see this movie, but you needed a reason to make people understand what this movie was. I knew what the movie was. You were going to have me already. But Joe Average and the general public needed more than just remember Blade Runner from 35 years ago? Here's a sequel. They didn't do a good enough job on the circuit explaining what this movie was. And I think that's what hurt it, plus the screen times at that time. You do a 2-hour and 45-minute movie from not an obscure IP, but not one that, is like a fucking Spider-Man or Captain America, you're going to lose screen time. So there's a lot of reasons. But in the streaming era, it's a success. It's overall, the Blade Runner franchise is a success. Because even you can take those 2 instances where it lost money in the theater and it made money everywhere else. There's been millions and millions and millions of home media sold, millions of books, millions of that have been made in books, comic books. And now we got to show whoever paid for those licenses put down millions to do that. So it's drawing money 30 years later. So, all right. So let me, yeah, that's what I just showed you. I got a whole wall of them. I literally have a section. You know what? I actually kind of want them to do it just to see if anybody will recognize them outside of the CW verse. Mm-hmm. Would the people who showed up to Suicide Squad and show up to these big budget movies would do they? Because I want because like I said, everybody who watches Smallville thinks the entire population of the Milky Way galaxy watched it with them, and I'm curious. No, all your friends watched it with you, but how many were there? You got millions and millions of friends, Dark Knight? I'm just curious. If you do, congratulations, you're a popular dude. Fuck no. No. I would actually want to see somebody dissolving that universe, like give me like a universe eating dragon that just swallows up.
if we do see something, at least show him in a better suit than that weak ass suit we got at the end of it. Which I think I have higher esteem for Gotham than William does, but come on, that bat suit in the final scene was
That show
was horrible. That suit was like, yeah.
I gave that show some time too.
And see, this is why I remember those Batman insurance commercials from a few months ago, where they designed did like a really good like Gotham design, a Batsuit design for that.
It's better than the people who are doing Batman. No, the Batman you're watching, maybe.
No, but that made me like I saw that that had the production value to make me think like I want this, like take this and like do a Superman Lois with that. It's like I want like episodically this these production values on Batman and a TV show. Because it was really polished. I mean, for like a 30-second commercial, they went out to make that very presentable.
And they wouldn't be able to sustain that cost. You can do it for 2 minutes. William, why are they fast forwarding to the year 2099 in the next Blade Runner? I feel like Wallace's story isn't finished. I don't know. I don't have any access to the people. They haven't done the interviews yet. His story could still be, hey, he could have replicated himself. 18-year-old didn't know. In 1982, I was 8. You do not. I recommend, because I there's a lot of people who've gone backwards and watched 2049 before they watch that. So you can. 2049 on its own is a great movie. I think you will have a better time if you watch Blade Runner because of the context, because of the story. It has its roots in the 1982 Blade Runner 2019 is when that takes place. So I think you would have a better understanding and better time if you did so, but you do not have to. Do you have a beta man? All right, let me get down because I think we're about to wrap this up. Let's see. Okay. It was consistent with the show. That costume was consistent with the show for me. That's what. If you would have told me what kind of costume I could have expected from Gotham, that's exactly what I would expect.
For Smallville, they got the Superman Returns suit for that, which is like that's a really good suit. So they could again, and for what we saw in that Allstate commercial, come on, it's like, and I even would have like settled for like how bad that suit was. I even would have settled for like just something like show him from behind, entirely silhouette, and just like stand up, slow motion, put on the cowl, and we just see him from behind. And so, if that's how good the suit would be, just show it silhouette.
To me, it's meaningless. It wouldn't have made the show any more watchable.
Him
showing up in the best Batman suit ever would not have made Gotham.
No. I am a suit guy when it comes to superheroes. It's like
if
the suit is lacking, that always takes it down.
To me, the story, the show has to be good.
I mean, it's like the iconography of the suit is like it really is like it could really take that
up the iconography of everything else. So the suit's going to save it.
Well, it's not going to save it, but it's like but it's enough of an integral element where it's like it takes points.
If you're not making an integral show, who gives a fuck?
Well, this could have been an integral show.
If I dress up Spam as steak when I bite into it,
even Erin agrees. She likes Gotham better than either of us. Like even she agrees that suit wasn't. Yeah,
that show was awful. And Fox had money. That's the sad thing. Fox had money. Fox had everything they needed to make a better show, and they made that. So I wasn't a big, and that got a lot of episodes too. Fox, which
that ran for like 5 seasons.
Yeah, the cancel happy Fox that couldn't keep anything good on the air. They gave that a long time. So poor Gotham got bad in the end. It was a pretty good show, and they ended it with that too. Hey, Aaron, you're more power to you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I found that show unwatchable. I try not to remember anything from the show. Yeah, I did. Like I say, guys, I have high standards. I have super duper high standards when it comes to superhero shows. And if I don't feel that the show hits the standards, you guys can love it all you want to. I don't watch them. And okay, I if you have a high budget and your story sucks, that's just as bad as having a good story and no budget. You got to have both. You got to have both. It's not a fucking multiple choice. Where you pick one and everything else sucks. And that's a lot of superhero shows, in my opinion, suffer from that. If you can't carry out the vision, go to a different genre. But instead, you got people who just want to force the genre, and it ends up looking like some of the stuff that I'm not a big fan of. That's why when you hear me, like I said, when I say what I think is the best, I automatically go to Watchmen as the best comic book TV show because it meets the standard. It meets the standard. You don't have to cover up for stuff in that show. You don't have to hide things if you didn't have enough money to buy something. You don't have a shitty costume because you didn't want to spend the money, or whoever was designing it didn't really have a feel for the IP, so they said, okay, well, here's a lowest expectation of what the character's supposed to look like. Here you go. We're not going to make this a special moment. We'll just throw this on. Not a big fan of that. I know a lot of people come at it from different angles. Some of you who've grown up with this stuff. When you grow up with something, I guess it's going to be different for you because that's the standard for you. So it's just it's gonna be different for everybody else. But yeah, Gotham was a disappointment. I thought the premise of Gotham was not good to begin with. So I was from the get-go. I thought the premise of Gotham was something I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And there you go. Fox had tons of money. Fox had tons of money, and let's see. So, all right, guys, that's where we're going to wrap it up. Tomorrow, we're going to. Brad went and saw a movie that I will eventually see, but probably not in theaters, which is a Smashing Machine. Just because of time, I hope I get some time to go see it. Because I think Dwayne Johnson has a better than good chance of winning an Academy Award for it. I actually want to see that movie that he does. So, yeah. I mean, like I said, we could do a whole stream of close your eyes moments when it comes to Gotham. And Gotham's, like I said, Gotham, yeah. CW did what they could, what they had, the infrastructure that they had. Gotham had the infrastructure. Gotham was on a network. Gotham was on a network people watched. So it had two things going for it. It had a network that people watched, and it had money. Two things that the CW did not have. And the stuff on the CW is, like I said, far superior than Gotham because the effort was there. You can say what you want about the CW. The effort, it wasn't for lack of trying. They just didn't have any money and they didn't have any scope. So, all right, guys, tomorrow night, Brad will give his review of the Smashing Machine. And we will wrap up the first weekend of October. We're in October already. Yeah. Christmas trees and shit are already out. People are already buying the 12 skeletons and just getting crazy. The turkeys are getting around. Well, turkeys are probably going to cost like $1,000 this year. Oh Lord, I'll probably be eating turkey ramen. That's how we do it. So, I don't know. This will be the last thing I'm going to. They didn't have the budget. They didn't have the budget. They didn't have the justification. See, in order to have the budget increase, you have to have people watching. Because your ad revenue, like if you come to me and say, just anybody in general, we want you to buy ads. We want you to buy ads for this time slot. And I see your numbers and I see the average numbers for your slot and they're those numbers. I'm like, I can't give you my money because I don't want to invest money into something no one's going to see. So they didn't, and in turns, they couldn't get money from corporate because they weren't pulling in any money. So you can only justify an increase of budget if you're actually drawing revenue. And this is why I say people can come at me and like, you hater. No, you can do your own research on the CW's numbers and the CW's revenue. You can do your own research, absent of myself. So there was never a budget for the. It's I will give the CW credit. It's a miracle that they were able to do what they did. And I can respect that much. It is a miracle that the CW at any level was able to do what they did with their superhero stuff, given the state of CW, given the revenue that they did or did not bring in. It was a miracle that they did anything. So give them credit there. But as far as like I said, that's why I always say, if we're talking superhero stuff, I don't want to see, it can't be low budget. And if it is, then like I said, I can't take it as it. Listen, Titans had a bigger budget than it warranted. And Titan had flaws. But Titans was on a streaming era, and then it went to HBO Max. See what happens when you're, but once again, if you want to criticize Titans for its story, especially when Donna Troy is getting killed by a telephone pole, it's the right answer. So I just, like I said, I gotta have the steak. Don't give me the spam when it comes to superhero content. I don't want the spam anymore. All right. All right, that's it. I will see you guys tomorrow night, 10:30. Hopefully that buzzing is gone, whatever Brad's doing. And I will see you later. And we'll cover Spiderman Noir since I forgot. And it's like a huge thing on the thumbnail. Got talking Blade Runner, sorry. So Smashing Machine, Spider-Man Noir. Talk about it tomorrow.